Chapter 265. Li Hongming was so unlucky, and Li Hongyi was not much better. He really thought that his mother was going to give up on him. He was like a ferocious beast that was about to lose his mind. His eyes were red, and he was rash and impulsive. Now he would bite whoever he caught. Ninth Prince, who was attached to him, had his legs broken by him. Originally, the Empress could restrain him, and he would not do such a disgraceful thing. But now, Prince Kong regarded his mother as an enemy, and as long as the Empress was biased, Prince Kong would fly into a rage. After the incident, the Empress was very aggrieved, but she did not dare to preach to her only son. She was afraid that he would be unhappy and directly kill someone. Then, all her schemes would come to an end. She just closed her eyes to hide all her emotions. No one knew whether she was sighing in her heart about her miscalculation or reciting scriptures to calm her anger. Li Hongyi did not hide anything when he punished people. Undoubtedly, this matter was reported to Lu Qingdi. Lu Qingdi was so angry that he almost vomited blood. He knew that his sons were fighting fiercely in private, but he deceived himself and pretended that he did not know. Or, he thought that he could suppress these sons. No matter how they jumped around, they would not offend him. But now, he was slapped hard in the face. At first, Li Hongyi was grounded and almost lost his title. But in the end, nothing happened to him. In this regard, he was much luckier than Li Hongming. The reason why he was dealt with leniently was because Prince Kong suddenly had an idea. With snot and tears, he complained to Lu Qingdi that the mother-son relationship between him and the Empress was very deep. When he suddenly heard that he was going to be abandoned by his own mother, he was blinded by anger. However, when he came back to his senses, the big mistake had already been made. It was all his fault. It was his fault. It was his fault. It was his fault. He was soft-hearted. He was willing to apologize to Zhou Di. He was narrow-minded. Imperial Mother had always been good to the brothers. So, it was all his fault. At first, Lu Qingdi was cold and unmoved. But who knew that Li Hongyi did not hesitate to order people to break his legs. Thus, no matter how cold Lu Qingdi's face was, he could not hold it any longer. The matter was left unsettled. However, although this matter seemed to be settled, the Empress secretly gritted her teeth. That good son of hers had taken all the blame on himself, but he had unknowingly put all the blame on the Empress. If she had not been looking for trouble to torment her son, then none of this would have happened. When Lu Qingdi was cold to her, the Empress had no words to express her bitterness. This time, she had been viciously cheated by her son, who was at her mercy. This was not something that idiot would do. Most likely, he was instructed by someone else. Prince Kong had many advisors around him, but he had to be good at distinguishing between right and wrong. He had done a good job of listening to only one side. Therefore, rather than saying that these people were under Prince Kang's command, it was better to say that they took orders from the Empress. Therefore, this matter was definitely not them. Have someone carefully investigate the people around His Highness. The Empress ordered. She was determined to ferret out the person who instigated the relationship between her and her son. Whoever dared to plot against her should be prepared to die. A storm was brewing in the depths of the Empress's eyes, but she suppressed everything and began to think about repairing the relationship with Prince Kong. After all, the idea of raising another child, whether it was true or not, had been completely cut off through this matter and could not be used again. Then, her son had become the only person who could be the most important chess piece, and he must exist from the beginning to the end. So, it was rare for her to play the family card. Unfortunately, it was useless at this time. The Empress's pressure on him was like a pair of shackles, which made him afraid and unable to move. He could only be a puppet obediently at her mercy. But now, the shackles seemed to have completely disappeared. Because his legs were broken, he had to be carried in. However, he held his head high and chest out, in high spirits. In terms of appearance, Li Hongyi was also a dragon and phoenix among men, heroic and extraordinary. After all, he had good genes. As for the intelligence that he did not inherit, it could probably be attributed to a mutation. Usually, He was always lacking in confidence in front of the Empress and appeared to be a little timid. As the saying goes, with a matching temperament, an excellent appearance would be more outstanding. However, Prince Kang's temper ruined his good appearance, and people who saw him did not pay attention to his appearance, including the Empress. However, it was different now, as if he had changed into a different person. The Empress also looked at him seriously. It was still the same familiar appearance, but it felt like the difference between heaven and earth. What could make a person change so much in such a short time? If it were not for the face and the figure that was the same, she would think that Li Hongyi had been replaced by someone else. The Empress's expression did not change, but her heart was not calm. She felt that her only son might be out of her control, which was not a good thing. "How is my son's injury?" the Empress asked calmly as usual. No matter how anxious she was, the Empress could not collapse all of a sudden. Going too far was as bad as falling short. "Thank you for your concern, Mother. I'm fine," Prince Kong said indifferently. "That's good. However, are you still angry with Mother?" the Empress said with some displeasure. "How can that be? Mother has been so considerate and has always thought of me. I'm grateful. It's good that you can think it through. You are my only son. Everything I do is naturally for you." "Is that so?" Li Hongyi smiled. "You all go out first. I want to have a private talk with Mother." The leading aunt looked at the Empress. After the Empress nodded, she took her leave and left with the other servants. Li Hongyi sat below the Empress. It seemed that it was the first time he seriously looked at the woman who gave birth to him, raised him, and taught him. "It's true that I'm Mother's only son, but did Mother really do everything for me?" "What do you mean, son?" The Empress raised her eyebrows and asked calmly. "Mother, don't you want to set up a puppet and take power yourself?" Li Hongyi said bluntly, but his eyes were full of unconcealable gloom. It could be seen that Prince Kang's change was only superficial. After a long time, his true colors would be revealed. The Empress's heart skipped a beat. She had been hiding this matter very well. Qi Yuan was the most taboo for the harem to interfere in politics. If her thoughts were known, the consequences could be imagined. But who was the Empress? How could she lose her sense of propriety so easily? Her expression did not change, but her words were harsh. "Who's deceiving people? It's a big crime for the harem to interfere in politics. How could Mother do such a thing? Don't talk nonsense. It doesn't matter what Mother does, but what if she implicates you? Son, who said this to you? This person must have ulterior motives. You should be careful." Li Hongyi was slightly shaken, but when he thought that Jean had guessed his mother's words and actions, his heart hardened in an instant. He smiled coldly. "There's no third person here now. Mother, you don't have to pretend. Mother, don't worry. This matter won't spread. After all, with a powerful mother in charge, as the legitimate eldest son, it will be much easier. At least I won't have to worry about another legitimate brother." "Son, is this how you talk to Mother?" The Empress did not speak harshly, but Li Hongyi felt very frightened. The fear that was suppressed and not disappeared quickly took over his mind, and he seemed to shrink a little. As expected, it was just for show. After calming down, the Empress did not care. Just as this stupid son said, he still needed her. As long as he had a little brain, he would not do such a stupid thing as betraying her. Li Hongyi's face turned a little pale when he saw his subconscious reaction. However, it was impossible for him to pull himself together. The Empress was an insurmountable mountain to him. He was also sure that this woman was really ambitious, which made him very angry. The men in the Qi Yuan dynasty's royal family were born to like centralizing power. Brothers could fight to the death, but they could not let a woman interfere. No matter what the woman's identity was, it was absolutely not allowed. "Mother, you were the one who started it. Can't you let me do the same? Mother, you want to support ninth brother, but you probably don't want to train me. You really want to take the next step and abandon me when necessary, right? In that case, there's no need to talk about feelings. Imperial Mother, being a good empress is the most important thing. Imperial mother shouldn't interfere with Duke Dingwa's mansion and everything else. Otherwise, don't blame this son for putting righteousness before family, for the sake of Chiyuan's country. Men. Li Hongyi's men came in from outside. It's getting late and this son is a little tired, so I'll take my leave first. When this son recovers, I'll come and pay my respects to Imperial Mother. Li Hongyi sat down and half-heartedly cupped his hands, then had people carry him away. The Empress did not say anything and just watched him leave. Then she smashed the teacup in her hand. The Empress was good at handling people. In the eyes of the palace servants, their master was dignified and virtuous. She rarely lost her temper. However, when she really lost her temper, even her most trusted aunt did not dare to speak rashly. The Empress took a deep breath. She was actually threatened by this unfilial son? If he really exposed her, she would drag a lot of people down with her just by saying a few words. This unfilial son still wanted to be the emperor? It was more realistic in his dreams. The Empress calmed down and regained her composure. It was still unknown who would win in this game. How could she not know what kind of son she raised? As the saying went, it's easy to change mountains and rivers, but difficult to change one's nature. He was useless. Even if he had someone to guide him, according to his temperament, how long could he be obedient? It would not be long before he would make trouble by himself, and she would have to clean up the mess. Li Hongyi's purpose today was to confirm whether his good mother was ambitious or not. Now, even if she did not admit it herself, he basically believed it. Li Hongyi left the palace with a gloomy face and returned to Prince Kang's mansion. Then, he went back to the backyard. The first thing he saw was the figure dancing in the flowers. The red gauze dress outlined her figure vaguely. Her eyes were full of the deepest love in the world. Li Hongyi instantly threw the negative emotions out of his mind. His eyes were full of greed and desire. After the song, the woman in red came forward slowly. Alluring prince, greetings. Ruer, dispense with the formalities. Li Hongyi reached out and grabbed her, then continuously kneaded her. That smooth skin really made people unable to part with it. If it was not for the fact that it was inconvenient for him to move, he might have directly pounced on her. Alluring Rao snuggled up to his feet, and her hand slid up his calf. Chapter 266. Before, this slave was only guessing. Perhaps it was a misunderstanding. Prince shouldn't be estranged from the Empress. Yao Rao said to Li Hongyi with a bit of worry. Her expression seemed as if she was really thinking for the sake of the other party. Rest assured, Rao, she won't fall out with me. Li Hongyi stroked Yao Rao's hair. He had completely forgotten that when he entered the imperial palace today, every word and action, it was actually all thanks to Yao Rao's guidance. It was just that she had said it very euphemistically, so he probably didn't realize this point himself, and only thought that he was being firm this time. It's all this slave's fault. Otherwise, Prince and Empress wouldn't be like this. This slave is a sinner. Rao, don't say it like that. If not for you cleverly pointing out some doubtful points, Ben Wong would still be in the dark. Or, Rao, do you want Ben Wong to be deceived by others? Li Hongyi said softly, but that ruthless aura was so obvious. He had been a good son for so many years because he had a little bit of self-knowledge about his own ability. So, for the sake of the throne, he could endure the humiliation. But the fact was not like that. It could be imagined how big the fall in his heart was, how big the blow was, and how heavy the resentment was. So, it was natural for his heart to be distorted. Coupled with the injury on his leg, it made his temper very bad. Yao Rao seemed to be afraid and trembled. Naturally not, Prince. No matter what, this slave will definitely stand on your side. This slave was alone and had no one to rely on all my life. In order to protect my chastity, I suffered all kinds of hardships. But now, fortunately, I have Prince's care, so I can live a peaceful life and enjoy a luxurious life. Prince's kindness to this slave is the same as giving me a new life. What Prince thinks is what this slave thinks, and what Prince points is what this slave will follow. There is nothing more important than Prince. Li Hongyi's heart was greatly satisfied, so he began to use all kinds of sweet words to coax her. After a while, Yao Rao persuaded him to do something. Now was the critical moment, so he should take advantage of this opportunity to let His Majesty see his sincerity and ability. Even though he was injured, he could still be so diligent. His Majesty would inevitably take pity on him, and then he would do several beautiful tasks to win back His Majesty's heart. As the eldest son, there was no reason for him to pass the throne to others. Although this slave hopes that Prince can accompany you at all times, but the important matter, this slave can't delay Prince because of my own reasons. There were even tears in her eyes. Li Hongyi was very touched. Then he asked, affectionately, Jean will help me, right? Prince is wise and wise. Why do you need this slave's help? Presumably, Prince is confident in everything. The reason why you asked other people was to test them, to see if they have the ability to share the glory and splendor with you. Not to mention this slave, anyone by Prince's side is just a small pawn. It's natural for them to go through water and tread on fire for Prince. No matter how good their achievements are, it's all because Prince knows how to make good use of people and has good leadership. She was so sincere. Prince Kong was very moved. In his heart, it was as comfortable as eating iced sour plum soup in the summer. Sure enough, there was no one in the world who understood him better than Yao Rao. Feeling refreshed, he went to do his work. After he walked away, Yao Rao's face was still infatuated. She stared at Prince Kang's back, but her eyes were like a pool of stagnant water. She lived in this courtyard now. Since she helped him get rid of the fate of being a marquis, she moved in. Although it couldn't be compared to the main courtyard, it was very exquisite and luxurious. However, she didn't care about these things. Yao Rao got up and returned to the soft couch in the pavilion. Like a boneless snake, she lay lazily and played with her hair in boredom. She and the Empress of Qi Yuan were two different kinds of people. However, they had one thing in common, which was the desire for power. It was just that the path they took was different. She wanted to be in the same position as a man. She could be a minister and didn't need to rule the world. Her birth meant that she couldn't reach that step. He promised her that when the matter was done, she would be conferred the title of Marquis in the future. Marquis, the kind that could go to the court and participate in the political affairs. Perhaps it was because she was thinking about others and had not been influenced by others, but after learning about the current situation in the capital, she vaguely felt that something was wrong. In fact, she had basically confirmed this when Li Hongyi went to the palace. Even according to Li Hongyi's description, the Empress had only said a few words, and Li Hongyi, that idiot, didn't see the change in the Empress of Qi Yuan's expression. But she could see a kind of tacit agreement mentality from it. So, everything was within Yao Rao's prediction. She guided Li Hongyi according to the possible development of the situation, and not just one version. This kind of thing, for her, was simply an easy task. Just like how she easily controlled Li Hongyi's emotions just now. The target was a arrogant, conceited person who liked to say nice things. To be honest, if this kind of person became the emperor, he would definitely be an incapable ruler. So the empress couldn't train her son with her heart, but Yao Rao was able to make Li Hongyi obedient to her in just a few days. In the end, where did she lose? In the end, the empress was just using high pressure to control Li Hongyi. But Yao Rao was different. She could clearly grasp a man's psychological state, and at the same time, she could think of every possible way for the other party. Especially with Li Hongyi's current state, it was too easy for her to take advantage of it. But it was too simple, and it was a bit boring. There were too many men who were defeated by her, but it was really the first time that she was so relaxed like this. However, she would still stay in Prince Kang's fu. After all, there was no better way to get the information she wanted than to follow a Wangye who held real power. Moreover, she didn't need to do it herself, as the other party would take the initiative to deliver it. Not only was there no difficulty, there was also no danger to her life. It was just a pity, if Prince Kong could be swapped with Prince Jean, it would be even more perfect. However, the other party still hadn't resolved the conflict with Prince Jean. However, according to the understanding of the situation these past few days, the other party really didn't have any power. No matter how secretive the average person was, they couldn't stop someone from spying on them day and night, right? If they were really planning something big, it was impossible to not have any contact with the court officials. If they were aware of it and deliberately avoided it, it would be fine. But she thought that her actions were secretive, and the people she used this time were all new faces that had just been arranged. Moreover, they had undergone strict training and were very strong in all aspects. Even so, she still couldn't find anything wrong. Then, was she really thinking too much? She fiercely frowned, and in the end, she could only put this matter aside for the time being. She still needed to understand more about the Qi Yuan's matters in the capital. When necessary, she might have to meet some spies that shouldn't be easily touched. For now, it was better to wait a little longer. However, regarding Prince Jin, she could still understand from the side. Didn't Prince Kang's Fu still have a few tricksters that just came over from Prince Jin's Fu? It would be a waste if she didn't use them. Small people also had their uses. Some inconspicuous matters might provide her with unexpected gains. Therefore, Yao Rao turned her head and let people call a few people over. She glorified it as, in order to better serve Wang Ye. After Prince Kong learned about it, his mood couldn't be too good. Sure enough, it was this kind of beauty that won his heart the most. On the other hand, Li Hongming originally suspected that he had been plotted against by others. However, after seeing Li Hongyi's recent behavior, he was almost certain that everything that happened to him couldn't be separated from him. Obviously, he also wanted to get rid of Shen Shuhan, the right commander-in-chief. For a time, he or the person he supported was pushed down by everyone. There were countless people who threw stones at him when he was down. Even if Li Hongming's people all went together, it was still somewhat insufficient. Now, it was a choice between two. Either Shen Shuhan admitted that the other people in the Shen family were working for him, shouldering all the blame and returning home to hold his child, or the other people would be lenient. Good, they would push all the blame onto him and take the blame of improper discipline. Then, they would confiscate some of his salary and the others would probably be severely punished. Under the influence of some people, there was no third path to choose. The final result of the discussion was still to protect Shen Shuhan. For Li Hongming, military power was really too important. This was almost expected, but the loss of other people in the Shen family also made Li Hongming so angry that he vomited blood. In this way, Li Hongyuan's goal was perfectly achieved. However, such a heavy blow didn't make him depressed. Instead, it aroused a stronger fighting spirit. His eyes were red, and he secretly swore that he must find other ways to make up for it. Not only did he begin to trip up Li Hongyi openly and secretly, but he also fiercely reorganized his own people. Some things, before they were exposed, he would first nip them in the bud. His actions were ruthless, and there were many people who were angered and punished. However, this was indeed effective. At least, his continuous troubles were reduced a lot. This continued for more than half a month before Li Hongming was able to take a breather. When he went back to ask about the fine brushwork, the matter had been completely suppressed. In order to avoid suspicion, he didn't put people under his eyes, and he couldn't send too many people to protect them. Because once there were too many people, it would definitely arouse suspicion. After all, the other party was a poor scholar with a little talent in painting. What ability did he have to make people pay attention to him? However, there were also self-proclaimed righteous people who spontaneously protected the other party to prevent Luo Shongshu from using extreme means. It was because of this that someone took advantage of the loophole. If he wasn't careful, someone would discover that the painting that was said to be from a few years ago had actually been retouched. There was even a draft in the middle. It looked like it was from a few years ago and should still be in its initial stages. There were still traces of freehand brushwork, but it obviously had Luo Jinghua's style. Just like this, it was obvious that the other party got the draft of Luo Jinghua, and for the sake of fame, they were unscrupulous. It was not that no one suspected that the Luo family did something, but wasn't this slapping the righteous people in the face? They protected the other party so well. How could the Luo family do something? When the truth was revealed, he felt that his loyalty had been trampled on. He also felt that he had let down the Luo family. With the Luo family's reputation, how could they do such a thing? Out of anger and guilt, the poor scholar was beaten to the point of almost losing his life. This matter was left unsettled. However, when Li Hongming faced Luo Peishan, he always felt that the other party's eyes were very cold. https://www.bicken.com/11/11807/6653438. HTML chapter error. Click here to report. Registration is free. We will deal with it as soon as possible. After reporting, please wait patiently and refresh the page. Please remember the domain name of this book: www.bicken.com. Bicken. Com Mobile Edition Reading Website. Bicken.com. Chapter 267. However, whenever Li Hongming faced Luo Peishan, he always felt that the other party's eyes were very cold. After the first, second, and third time, Li Hongming could be sure that his feeling was not an illusion. The Luo family had wronged him in the matter of Luo Jingying. During this period of time, he was tolerant enough and did not cause trouble for the Luo family, nor did he treat Luo Peishan coldly. However, if there was something that could make Luo Peishan so cold, he could not help but suspect that the Luo family already knew that it was his doing in the matter of Luo Jinghua. Speaking of which, this matter was completely coincidental. When a poor scholar who had just entered the capital first saw Luo Jinghua's teaching album, his face was full of disbelief. Coincidentally, this was seen by his people. They felt that there might be something to be done about it, so they brought him to him. In fact, he did not believe in this matter at all and directly used torture. How could a poor scholar withstand such torture? He easily confessed everything. Even so, there were still some suspicious points in this matter. Therefore, he unceremoniously took advantage of this matter. In the beginning, he still controlled himself. After all, his purpose was not to really destroy Luo Jinghua. It was nothing more than either blackmailing Luo Peishan or appearing as a benefactor to easily help Luo Jinghua out of this matter. However, he was hindered by other matters. When he looked back, this matter was already over. Moreover, he did not know who was behind it. This kind of completely uncontrollable matter kept happening over and over again. Who on earth was going against him? When Prince Rue faced Luo Peishan, he acted as if he did not know about this matter as usual. No matter whether the Luo family believed that he had something to do with it or not, he was determined not to admit it. In short, he pretended to be innocent until the end. Prince Rue was very clear that with Luo Jinghua's current reputation, he was bound to be the focus of Luo Peishan's training. In the future, he would be the mainstay of the Luo family. Now that someone was trying to destroy him, to a certain extent, it was undoubtedly destroying the Luo family's foundation. This was equivalent to the enmity of the destruction of the Luo family. How could the Luo family not be angry with the initiator of this matter? Without concrete evidence, Luo Peishan did not argue with him. In fact, Li Hongming's attitude was completely within his expectations. As a superior, how could he be so shameless? Luo Peishan was also an old fox in the officialdom. He even expressed his understanding and even agreed. But if it happened to his family, it was absolutely unforgivable. Therefore, he expressed that he would be even more thorough with his third grandson-in-law's plan. Although Li Hongyuan did not allow him to participate in many matters and only allowed him to do his job without bias, because Jing Wan was deeply trusted by Li Hongyuan, she told him much more than the others. Therefore, as the minister of the Ministry of Personnel, who had the most favorable position, did not do anything, he felt that he was letting himself down. He was using his own power to eliminate other people's influence without leaving a trace. The more he eliminated, the easier it would be for his grandson-in-law. His third grandson-in-law was going to make a move on someone's. No, that's not right. It should be someone's money bag. He was already choosing a replacement. Rest assured, he would definitely satisfy everyone. In the past few days, the Luo family had been busy with Luo Jingming's marriage. Other than the 3 eldest grandsons, only the two elders of the Luo family knew about this change. They did not do anything and just waited for the situation to develop. In the end, just as Li Hongyuan had said, the minister of Honglu Temple took the initiative to propose a replacement. He even said with tears and snot that he had let Lord Luo down, and that he hoped that Lord Luo would be magnanimous and not be calculative with him. Although Luo Peishan had already expected this outcome, his acting skills were superb. First, he expressed his dissatisfaction at the right time. Then, he magnanimously expressed his forgiveness for the other party's sincere apology. After all, outsiders basically did not know about the marriage between the two families, so it would not have much of an impact. Moreover, the minister of Honglu Temple's legitimate daughter was only 1 or 2 months younger than the concubine's daughter. Her coming-of-age ceremony had already passed. After the concubine's elder sister's marriage, it would be her turn. I just don't know what exactly happened. Of course, I'm not deliberately making things difficult for you. If Lord Zhao feels that it's inconvenient to say it, it's fine. As the saying goes, every family has its own difficulties. There must be a reason for this last-minute replacement. Dirty linen should not be aired in public. Everyone understands. Luo Peishan smiled elegantly, as if they were all the same. They all understood. However, the minister of Honglu Temple, Lord Zhao, broke out in a cold sweat. He was clearly telling you that he already knew about your family's dirty linen. If he explained it clearly, perhaps everything would be fine. If he did not clear it up, he might even let his imagination run wild. If that happened, it would implicate the legitimate daughter of your family and make her look at you strangely. That would not be good, right? Speaking of which, Lord Zhao was only in his 40s and was a standard third-rank official. Compared to Luo Peishan, who was a standard first-rank official, there was a huge gap. Not only was he a junior official, but he was also a junior official. This time, he was even more in the wrong. He was of the same rank as the 5th Tai Ching, but his relationship with Luo Peishan was not the slightest bit prior to this. Originally, using a concubine's daughter to establish a relationship with the Luo family was a bargain. Even if it was at the beginning, he felt that using a legitimate daughter to form a marriage alliance would not be a loss. However, in the end, he had to consider the issue of face. In the end, it was his family that caused trouble. If he had known, he would have used a legitimate daughter from the beginning. As the saying goes, taking the initiative and being forced were two completely different things. After thinking about it, he decided to tell the truth. If the Luo family decided to pursue the matter to the end, when the lie was exposed, it would be even more unbearable. After all, his family had made a big fuss about this matter. He could not guarantee that he would not leak it. Lord Luo, speaking of which, this official has not taught my daughter well. That wicked girl has liked her uncle's cousin since childhood and did not agree to this marriage. A few days ago, she actually did something improper. It's just that this official did not know about this matter. When it happened, I really wanted to beat her to death. This official is really too ashamed to show his face to you. Luo Peishan nodded. In his heart, he thought, this was really someone's usual style. He did not leave a way out once he started. The Honglu Temple official did not have the guts to marry a girl who had lost her virginity. After all, if it was discovered that she had faked her marriage in the bridal chamber, the two families would become mortal enemies. It would be better for other people, but if they offended the minister of the Ministry of Personnel, how would their descendants and the children of their relatives and friends be able to survive? As long as he, Luo Peishan, was alive, his family would never be able to make a name for themselves. According to Luo Peishan's current mental state, if nothing unexpected happened, he would still have many years to go. Promotion in the officialdom was also about the right time, the right place, and the right people. If they missed this opportunity, they might not be able to make a name for themselves again. No family could afford to waste several years of time. Therefore, it was better to clarify the matter and find an excuse for the concubine's daughter to be infected. This would be able to smooth things over to outsiders. He could also give outsiders a good reputation for being benevolent and righteous. Naturally, it would be good for everyone. However, Lord Luo, don't worry. This official's daughter is well educated and has a good character. She definitely doesn't have someone she likes. After they get married, she will definitely be able to harmonize with her husband and become a good couple. If his daughter was implicated by the concubine's daughter, he would definitely beat that wicked girl to death when he returned. Lord Zhao, you worry too much. Since I have agreed to the marriage, I naturally will not make things difficult for my future granddaughter-in-law. You can also rest assured about my grandson's character. He will definitely not make any malicious guesses and will definitely not vent his anger on others. The Luo family has taught their children well. All the men in the Luo family are good. This is something that everyone knows. It is my daughter's fortune to be able to marry into the Luo family, the Honglu temple official said respectfully. After the marriage was finalized, the two of them chatted happily. This time, the agenda could begin. Speaking of which, Luo Jingming was already 18 years old. Luo Jingbua, who was younger than him, had already become a father. The female side had also reached marriageable age, so there was no need to delay it for another year or two. Therefore, the wedding date was set for September this year. Compared to when Luo Jingbua married Sun Yijia, there was not much difference in the various gifts. The Luo family had shown enough sincerity. However, it was said that on the day of the wedding, Zhao family was very lively. That concubine's daughter almost caused a ruckus, saying that her D younger sister and D mother were a pair of sluts who schemed against her and stole her marriage. Even if she became a ghost, she would not let them off. One could imagine the face of the person who took the blame and was extremely glad that the Luo family gave face and the marriage went on as usual. As the insiders of the Luo family, the two elders were very calm, but the three brothers were a little guilty. That Miss Zhao's heart is in love with someone else. Jingming, can you be happy with such a daughter-in-law? Furthermore, Jin Qinwang said to change people. Can you stop him? Since that's the case, do what you need to do. There is no need to care about anything else. Old Madame Luo's words dispelled the brothers' superfluous thoughts. How could people like them be clean and pure for the rest of their lives and not do anything against their hearts? Luo Jingming's marriage, if nothing unexpected happened, was already a foregone conclusion. However, there were people who were secretly preparing to poach Prince Kang's wife, wanting to marry the D daughter of the Minister of Works. However, there were people who were unwilling to let him take advantage of this. Therefore, regarding his harem being in chaos, favoring a prostitute, concubine harming his D son, causing him to fall seriously ill, Prince Kang still stood on his own woman's side. As Prince Kang's Ce Fei, the younger sister of the former Princess Kang, in order to take care of her sister's child, she entered the Wangfu during her sister's mourning period. She entered the palace in anger and almost died in the Empress's Kuan-Yi palace. Because of this, Lu Chengdi was alarmed. As a result, Prince Kang, who had just improved, was reprimanded by Lu Chengdi. The Minister of Works also stood up and tactfully expressed his love for his daughter, indirectly rejecting the marriage with Prince Kang. After all, it was not an imperial edict, so the Minister of Works' refusal was understandable. The Empress could issue an imperial edict to facilitate the marriage. However, because of Qi Yuan's restrictions on the harem, as long as there was a legitimate reason, the officials could refuse to accept the Empress's imperial edict. The Minister of Works had already spoken up to this point. In the end, it was Prince Kang's own problem, so it could not be blamed on him. If the Empress still insisted on issuing an imperial edict, then not only would she lose face, she would also create an enemy for Prince Kang. Thus, the marriage could only be dropped. Prince Kang was so angry that he flew into a rage and smashed a lot of things. As for the instigator, Yao Rao, he naturally did not have a good expression. After all, in the eyes of these men, no matter how much a woman helped them, they should not expect them to be grateful. Especially a woman like Yao Rao, who was essentially a plaything. The more she was, the more valuable she would be. But once she lost her value, she was even worse than a real plaything. Yao Rao secretly hated in her heart. She had been in contact with Prince Kang's legitimate son, but she did not do anything, nor did she stir up trouble in Prince Kang's harem. After all, this was not her purpose. She was really not interested in fighting with those women. She did not expect that in a moment of carelessness, If not for the fact that she was still useful, Prince Kong would have pushed another person out to take the blame. She was just a dancer who did not even have the status of a concubine. 10 lives were not enough to compensate for her crime. With her current status, even if she died, she would die in vain. She learned from her mistakes, so Yao Rao naturally would not make such a mistake again. In the future, she would also not look down on the women in the harem. However, no matter what she thought, at this moment, she used all her skills to win back Prince Kang's favor. One drama after another, it could be said that it was brilliant. In these muddy waters, the Gong Prince had received several praises. Recently, he had been doing a good job, and his relationship with his father-in-law, Left Governor Qin Tianming, had also gradually eased. It could be said that he was in high spirits. At the same time, the 7th prince, who was once a regent, had also quietly climbed up. He had his own team, and gradually stood out, unknowingly showing his vigorous ambition. The person who had been at the top seemed to be gradually losing power, or was he deliberately lying dormant? The number of adult princes would continue to increase, and the situation in the imperial court would inevitably become more and more serious. Jing Wan and Li Hongyuan were more and more leisurely in the manner, and because the small amusement park had been completed day and night, the several little ones were more and more immersed in pleasure, and did not want to return to the capital. Her own daughter was with Jing Wan, her adopted daughter, so great elder princess seemed to be particularly relieved. Yu Yao had never been away from her for such a long time, and she did not send people to bring her back. As for the 2 girls of the Luo family, the Luo family was even less worried. As for the horse farm in the manor, with a word from the King of Hell, the Ministry of Works had to allocate enough craftsmen for him. These craftsmen, who had always worked for the imperial family and the world, could only honestly bury themselves in work at this time. Of course, for the experienced craftsmen, they were very happy to take on Prince Jin's private work, and work for Prince Jin. The salary was at least 3 times that of other places. This money was not so easy to get. They had to be perfect, and Prince Jin must be satisfied. If he was satisfied, there would be more rewards. If he was not satisfied, he would be in a good mood, and you would probably have another chance. If he was in a bad mood, you would probably suffer. However, it was said that the main person in charge this time was the Wang Fei. Although they had not seen her, they could clearly feel that the stewards below were more amiable. If there was a mistake, they would be instructed, and then the work would be done. As the saying goes, there is no distinction between good and bad without comparison. Prince Jin's consort was so amiable that it made them work even harder. It was also because Jing Wan said that if they had any opinions, they could raise them. If they were adopted, there would be rewards. As a result, the construction of the horse farm was faster than expected, and some of the places that had been modified by the craftsmen were more perfect. Jing Wan was very happy. When Princess Jean was happy, Prince Jin was also in a good mood, and the wages rose. The craftsmen were grinning from ear to ear. It could be said that it was good for you, good for me, and good for everyone. We should return to the capital, Li Hongyuan said. Jing Wan expressed deep regret. https://www.bicken.com/11/11807/6653441. HTML. We will deal with it as soon as possible. After reporting, please wait patiently and refresh the page. Please remember the domain name of this book: www.bicken.com. Biku Gur mobile reading website, bicken.com. Chapter 268. Li Hongyuan took Jing Wan in his arms and kissed her. If you like, we can stay here at any time in the future. Don't worry. There will always be a chance. Although Jing Wan felt regretful, she didn't have to stay here. Life was not as you wished. Even Prince Jin, who lived freely, also had a time when he couldn't be casual. She felt that she was very lucky. She was very clear about what she should do at any time and would not lose her direction. There will be a day when you will be able to do as you please, no matter what. Jing Wan laughed. The King of Hell could be naive sometimes. How could people be really reckless? No matter what, there would be more or less restrictions. Even if the restrictions did not come from the outside, they would come from themselves. Even if one stood at the top of the biological chain and created a civilization, he would not have absolute freedom. If he completely let himself go, he would not have a good end. Do you have anything to do when you go back at this time? Jingwan asked. Li Hongyuan nodded. Yes, I have something to deal with. Or, he was waiting for someone to come. Jingwan didn't ask more. She turned back and asked people to pack up and prepare to go back to the capital. Well, all her subordinates were capable people. Therefore, Jingwan just needed to say a word. When they returned to the capital, Jingwan sent people to send the children home at the first time. Of course, they also brought a lot of toys. These were the byproducts of the amusement park that Jingwan asked people to build. It was the result of a temporary idea. However, when Eunuch Mu came back from Great Elder Princess's mansion, he brought back a flower and tree. It was the apology that Jingwan gave to Yu Yao, White Scholar. Because it was a special famous product, it was impossible to forget it. Why did you bring it back? Jingwan fiddled with the flower and asked confusedly. Eunuch Mu stammered, Your Highness, well, His Highness asked people to bring a pot of it back from the farm. When I sent old Master Yu Yao back to Great Elder Princess's mansion just now, Jingwan understood and was once again speechless. Was there a need to go to this extent? Forget it, as long as he was happy, it was just a change of flowers and trees. It didn't matter. Since he cared so much, she would take good care of them in the future. Of course, she couldn't neglect him because of them. Otherwise, the consequences would be even more serious. He wanted to make her happy, please her, and give her things she liked. However, there was a limit to his need for these things. Jingwan could feel it. He had also clearly said that he wanted her to only have eyes for him. However, his actions were not like that. He could clearly put an end to these things from her world. In fact, he wanted her to be happy, so he tried his best to control his possessiveness. Sigh, she's really hard to please. Jingwan's eyes were filled with the purest joy. The next day, Jingwan followed Li Hongyuan into the palace. Since they had been away for such a long time, it was natural for them to enter the palace to pay their respects. Because of Prince Rui's matter, concubine Su was not in a good mood recently. Moreover, the capital city was in a mess. While they were having fun, they were also building large buildings. Anyone who saw them would want to beat them to death. Jingwan found that she began to degenerate with Li Hongyuan. She was familiar with attracting hatred. She didn't feel uneasy or afraid. Instead, she was a little excited. This state was not right, but Jingwan didn't want to restrain herself. Jingwan was already prepared to be scolded. Concubine Su didn't say anything. Except that she was a little tired, she was still a good mother-in-law. She asked about the recent situation in a low voice and asked what was being built in the farm. Li Hongyuan answered casually. His purpose was to eat, drink, and have fun. He used to play by himself, but now he was going to find some people to play with him. That was all. His attitude was casual, and he didn't feel that there was anything wrong with it. He didn't care about the outside world and only cared about himself. He didn't ask about his mother's health, as if he really didn't know that his elder brother was in deep trouble. Jingwan thought about it. If she was in concubine Su's position and met such a vile creature, how would she feel? To be honest, she sympathized with her. In concubine Su's eyes, her son had always been like this. She was clearly angry, but she couldn't get angry at him. Concubine Su looked at her carefree son and calm daughter-in-law, and the anger in her heart grew stronger. How could she be so miserable? She knew her son's character too well. It wasn't that she hadn't thought of turning him around, but she hadn't succeeded. There was even one time when they almost fell out with each other. In the future, she didn't dare to go too far. With his personality, the one who suffered the most was his wife. However, what did that have to do with her? It was fine as long as her son was well. But in fact, this daughter-in-law didn't look like she was having a hard time. She didn't have any makeup on, and her face was white with a hint of red. Her eyebrows were relaxed, and there wasn't the slightest bit of worry. Her complexion was even better than before she got married. Even if she wanted to deceive herself and tell herself that she didn't care from the beginning because she knew what kind of person her husband was, anyone with a discerning eye could tell that this wasn't the case. No matter how much she didn't care, it wouldn't get better and better. Obviously, there was a problem. There was no other person who could make a married woman feel happy and comfortable, other than her husband. It might be normal for others, but it was definitely abnormal for her son. Could it be that her son liked his wife that much? Liked her so much that he could turn over a new leaf? And all the things he did before they got married were purely because he liked her, wanted to treat her well, and wanted to give her the best? Noble consort Sue quickly denied her own thoughts. It was easy to change mountains and rivers, but it was difficult to change one's nature. It hadn't changed for so many years, so how could he suddenly change his heart? Yuan, go and pay your respects to your imperial father first. This consort will talk to your wife. Li Hongyuan nodded, got up, and left. Li Hongyuan only glanced at Jingwan, and Jingwan seemed to feel something and looked at him with a light smile. Other than that, there was nothing else. She couldn't even see any emotion on his face. Noble consort Sue was a little confused. Was this couple really too good at pretending, or was this daughter from the Luo family really so low that she could satisfy her son with just good food and drinks? After sending Li Hongyuan away, Jingwan knew that the main show was about to begin. If noble consort Sue wanted to talk to Jingwan, she would really just talk to her. However, that sentence was full of traps, which made her feel tired. If she wasn't careful, she might directly fall into the trap. Jingwan felt that she was no match for such a person. Therefore, she felt that she would be a silly girl who didn't understand anything. She would answer whatever noble consort Sue asked. In short, she just listened to the literal meaning. For example, did she tell her family when she went back to the Luo family last time? Yes, she did. What did her family say? Grandmother said she knew. Was Yuan good to you? Very good. How was he good? This time, Jingwan pretended to be shy and kept silent. Did you have fun in the farmstead? Very happy. Great elder princess trusted you. She had never given Yu Yao to anyone else. Of course, she was her adopted daughter. Noble consort Sue only felt that her heart was burning. She knew that Jingwan did it on purpose, but she couldn't do anything about it. Although Yuan used to be a bit dissolute, he obviously became a lot better after marrying you. At least, he didn't get any women in the mansion. I'm very gratified. It would have been better if she hadn't said it. Now that she said it, she suddenly realized that her son hadn't doted on a woman for a long time. Noble consort Sue lowered her head to drink tea, hiding the darkness in her eyes. Is that so? Jingwan frowned. It's said that rumors can't be trusted. After all, I've never seen such a woman around Prince. Prince used to have such a bad reputation. Could it be that someone deliberately slandered him? Jingwan would never admit that she had blocked someone's peach blossom. You're right. People's hearts are unpredictable. I should have thought of this. Noble consort Sue frowned. Don't worry, Your Highness. It doesn't matter. As long as we know that Prince is well, it's fine. Jingwan comforted her. Noble consort Sue glanced at her. That's right. Noble consort Sue almost had someone send her some tea and she lost interest in talking. On the other hand, when Li Hongyuan went to the imperial study to see Lu Chengdi, he ran into the imperial guard's commander, Yu Zhongqing. He was still that taciturn man who was loyal to his duty. However, there was a faint green around his eyes and they seemed to be covered with a layer of shadow. Under normal circumstances, Li Hongyuan might have just assumed that he didn't sleep well. However, after experiencing his past life, he could tell at a glance that it was the result of experiencing deep pain. Yu Zhongqing was still on his old path. Yu Zhongqing's eyes flashed when he saw Li Hongyuan. It seemed like he wanted to say something, but in the end, he only greeted him. Li Hongyuan turned a deaf ear to him and walked straight into the imperial study without stopping. Yu Zhongqing lowered his eyebrows and narrowed his eyes. Only he knew the turmoil in his heart and the bone-piercing pain that only he knew. Some things echoed in his mind over and over again. In the end, his heart calmed down and he made a decision. Lu Chengdi was naturally unhappy with the carefree and happy Li Hongyuan. After all, his son, who he valued the most, made mistakes one after another. The competition between his sons became more and more obvious. Lu Chengdi was angry when he saw Li Hongyuan. There were a lot of things to do, so he didn't have the time to reprimand him. Therefore, he sent him away with a few words. As expected, Li Hongyuan left very confidently. At the door, Yu Zhongqing watched Li Hongyuan leave. Li Hongyuan went to the Jade Essence Palace again. Compared to when he left before, there were a few more people here. Princess Lu brought her 2 daughters with her. She looked good, but that was all. Her makeup was very heavy, far worse than Jingwan's. She took noble consort Su's order to bring the children into the palace to talk with her and relieve her boredom. Princess Lu knew that her grandson was actually a thorn in noble consort Su's heart. She would be even more depressed if she saw her 2 granddaughters. However, noble consort Su had to see them for her own image. Princess Lu had to take them into the palace even if she was worried that the children would be negatively affected. It was said that children were perceptive. In fact, they had already felt that noble consort Su didn't really like them, so they were more and more restrained in front of noble consort Su. Noble consort Su felt that Princess Lu didn't raise the children well. She was the royal granddaughter, but she was so narrow-minded. Princess Lu had difficulties but couldn't speak. Today was fine. Jingwan actually liked children. Instead of sitting there, she might as well find something to do and play with the 2 children. Of course, it was not the first time for the 2 children to see her. Because Jingwan had always been kind to them, they naturally liked this 6th aunt very much. When Jingwan asked them questions, they answered obediently with sweet smiles. From this point of view, Princess Lu raised the children very well and didn't let them be corrupted prematurely. 6th sister-in-law likes children so much. Hurry up and have one yourself. Princess Lu said with a smile. Jingwan's temper, compared to them, was simply straightforward. She even offended her. However, Princess Lu didn't have any bad feelings towards Jingwan. She even envied her. At least, she would never be able to do what Jingwan did. She had too many restrictions and too many scruples. There was no turning back. The matter of children depends on fate. Jingwan smiled. She was using contraception now. How could she have children? Moreover, in Jingwan's view, someone asked her to use contraception not entirely because of her age, nor was it because it was not suitable to have children now. The most important point was that he didn't want to have a burden to disturb their 2-person world so early. You and Prince Jean are both in good health. I believe that you will have children soon. Maybe you are already pregnant now. Prince Jean got married late. These years, Mu Fei has been looking forward to it. Mu Fei will definitely like the child you give birth to. Jingwan smiled but didn't say anything. Noble consort Su might look forward to anything, but she probably never looked forward to Prince Jin's child. Well, Princess Lu seemed to have unintentionally stabbed noble consort Su. Jingwan actually wanted to see noble consort Su's expression at this time. Thinking about it, she gave up. For this kind of person, who knew if she would guess something just by looking at her. What are you talking about? Li Hongyuan came in. She said that Nyang Nyang is looking forward to Prince's child. Obviously, he had heard it. What was he pretending for? Jingwan smiled on the surface, but she rolled her eyes in her heart. Li Hongyuan raised his eyebrows. His eyes swept over Jingwan's belly. Then when does Wang Fei plan to give birth to this prince? Annoying. Jingwan looked at him coquettishly. In fact, she had goosebumps all over her body. Li Hongyuan smiled unconcernedly and looked at Princess Lu. 3rd sister-in-law is also here. Why don't I see 3rd imperial brother? Princess Lu squatted. Your 3rd imperial brother has something to do. He has always envied you for being so carefree. That's true. He works himself to death all day long to find guilt. Your sixth aunt built a playground for you children to play in. When you have time, let your Mufei take you to play. You don't need to tell sixth uncle. Li Hongyuan turned his head and said. The two little girls' eyes brightened. Obviously, they were very interested. Thank you, sixth uncle. It's fine if you're messing around, but you also bring an uncertain child. If you teach Ben Gong's good grandson bad, Ben Gong won't forgive you. Noble consort Su pretended to be angry and pointed at him with a little pampering. Jingwan felt that it was enough to scold her indirectly, but she pretended not to hear it. In that case, forget it. Mu Fei, you have to know that it's rare for a Ken to be generous. You are, https://www.com/11/11807/6653443. HTML click here to report an error, no registration required. We will deal with it as soon as possible. After reporting, please wait patiently and refresh the page. Please remember the domain name of this book. www.bicken.com. Bicken. Com Mobile Edition. Chapter 269. No matter what, Li Hongyuan wouldn't ask about noble consort Su's feelings. Although he was a filial son, he was also a careless man. He didn't have such a sensitive mind. How could he know what a woman was thinking? If his father found out that he was guessing what a woman was thinking, he would really be beaten up. Then, wouldn't it be fine if he didn't let his father know? Li Hongyuan indicated that if he really did that, he would definitely let his father know. As for Jingwan, she was his wife. How could others compare to her? It was obvious that Li Hongyuan's nerves were always the thickest when facing noble consort Su. Perhaps she had long been accustomed to her son being such a person, so noble consort Su didn't think too much about it. Why did you turn back so quickly? Imperial father is busy with government affairs and has no time to pay attention to this son. This son wants to take a walk around the Imperial Garden, but I'm afraid that I'll meet one or two people who want to recommend themselves. The unlucky one will still be this son. It's better not to get involved in such a troublesome place, Li Hongyuan said indifferently. Noble consort Su was rather speechless. Speaking of which, whose fault was it? Although in the end, and it had been so long, was it really good for a man to hold a grudge like this? That was just an accident. How could there be a second time? Yuan, you should know your place. This son isn't well behaved enough? If Imperial Mother thinks so, then this son will directly move to the manor to live. Yuan, aren't you hurting Imperial Mother's heart by saying such words? Noble consort Su said with some sadness. Li Hongyuan frowned, as if he didn't know which sensitive nerve of noble consort Su had been touched. If this son said something wrong, Imperial Mother can just say it. Noble consort Su was speechless. Perhaps this son of hers really didn't have any superfluous thoughts. Speaking of which, this son of hers had always said whatever he wanted to say and did whatever he wanted to do. He never hid anything, nor did he know what it meant to swallow his anger, let alone have a sense of propriety. Perhaps it wasn't that he didn't know, but that it had become a habit after a long time. He was used to others revolving around him, and thinking for others was the biggest joke in the world. Even though he knew this, he still took it seriously. He was simply asking for trouble. It's not that Yuan is in the wrong, it's just that I've misunderstood. As you said, your imperial father has indeed been busy recently. You know very well what his attitude towards you is. If you really want to stay in the manor for a long time, he will be sad, so I'm just... Mother, I understand. Imperial concubine Su nodded in satisfaction. On one hand, Jingwan was having a hard time holding back her laughter because of a certain someone's pretense. On the other hand, she really didn't know what to say about noble consort Su's attitude towards Li Hongyuan. Did noble consort Su really treat her son as an adult? Or perhaps it could only be said that a certain someone's acting obedient was too successful, leaving a deep impression in many people's minds? Then they chatted casually for a while. Li Hongyuan told noble consort Su that he sent something into the palace and asked her to deal with it as she saw fit. Noble consort Su said that he was a good son and filial child. In the end, Li Hongyuan regretfully said that he originally wanted to accompany his mother for dinner, but his sister-in-law was here, so he didn't want to join in the fun. Before noble consort Su said anything, he turned back and told Jingwan that he hadn't eaten anything for a while. After going back, he asked her to remember to ask someone to prepare it. When he turned back again, he saw noble consort Su, who wanted to say something but stopped on second thought. "Mother, is there anything else?" Noble consort Su choked again. If it was only Princess Lu alone, she could still send her away. But with the two little ones, she couldn't do that. It was natural for her son to avoid suspicion. How could she say no to such a sensible son? She could make Jingwan stay, but as a good mother, how could she make her son stay when his daughter-in-law was here? However, Jingwan pretended to be stupid and perfunctory. She would only make herself angry if she stayed. She waved her hand. "It's okay. Be careful on the way back." "Yes, I'll take my leave first." "I'll take my leave." Jingwan left the imperial palace with Li Hongyuan. At the gate of the imperial palace, they met Yu Zhongqing, the commander of the imperial guards. Jingwan didn't think much of it at first. As the leader of the imperial guards, it was not strange for him to appear outside the imperial harem. Li Hongyuan's eyes were a little meaningful. He had expected Yu Zhongqing to appear. When Yu Zhongqing saw them, he greeted them respectfully. Then he looked at Li Hongyuan. It seemed that he had something to say. Maybe it was because of the occasion, so he didn't speak. Li Hongyuan didn't stop. He reached out and took Jingwan's hand, and they got into the carriage. Jingwan was a little confused by Li Hongyuan's sudden action. She realized something. She glanced at Yu Zhongqing and didn't struggle. However, the guards at the gate immediately lowered their heads. On the other hand, Yu Zhongqing looked at their backs. His eyes flashed, and the shadow in his eyes dissipated. There was even a hint of relief. In the carriage, Jingwan finally couldn't help but ask, "Is it really okay for Yuan to do this? What's the problem? Even if she noticed something, what can she do? She won't fall out with me. Right now, she still needs me to help her consolidate her position. To me, it doesn't matter whether she's here or not. If she's wrong first, then it's even better. I can't be bothered to continue dealing with her. Alright, you have the right to be willful. You have the final say. Why is official Yu looking for you?" Li Hongyuan's face instantly darkened. Wan is quite observant. Jingwan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Hey, that's enough. Although the other party's behavior isn't very clear, coupled with your actions, it's worth thinking about. Alright, this official Yu saw clearly what happened on the way to the Summer Palace last year. He doesn't know everything about you, but he knows half of it. Looking for you at this time, he's preparing to surrender?" Li Hongyuan's expression didn't improve much, but there were no signs of him continuing to go crazy. Who knows what he wants to do? We'll know when he comes to find us. Then, Yuan's actions just now really reminded him. It's nothing. Li Hongyuan interrupted her neither lightly nor heavily. He looked at Jingwan without blinking. The threat was too obvious. Yes. Whatever you say, Yuan. Jingwan replied with a smile. She didn't know what to say about this temperament of his. Li Hongyuan's face darkened again. Jingwan hurriedly went up to him, wrapped her arms around his neck, and sealed it with a kiss. Li Hongyuan naturally wouldn't miss the benefits that were delivered to his doorstep. The people outside the carriage, because they were too astute, simply had an indescribable rumination. Especially those who didn't have a wife. Usually, they couldn't easily go to the brothel, and the shadow guards didn't even think about it. Returning to Jin Wangfu, 4 days later, Jingwan made a trip to the Luo family, under the pretext of being concerned about her cousin's marriage. In fact, in the imperial family, it was really the first time that someone like Jingwan returned to her maternal home as frequently as she did. However, Just as Li Hongyuan said on the day of the marriage, this matter, he was talking about the rules. As a daughter-in-law of the imperial family, Jingwan should be aware of this aspect. Unfortunately, in this aspect, she resolutely implemented the, after marriage, follow the husband's orders. When returning to the Wangfu, a little girl who was a few years old suddenly ran out chasing a kitten. If it wasn't for the fact that Jingwan's carriage wasn't fast enough, they might have bumped into the little girl. The guards tried to stop them, but they couldn't stop the nimble kitten. In the process of being chased, the kitten actually jumped onto Jingwan's carriage. Probably no one thought that it would be like this. Not to mention the guards, even the servant girls couldn't help but panic. If this little beast were to hurt Wang Fei, they wouldn't be able to afford it even if they lost their lives. Wang Fei, are you all right? She anxiously asked. At the same time, Gong Momo quickly lifted the curtain. Rest assured, I'm fine. Jingwan and Gong Momo looked at each other. Gong Momo, who was familiar with her, only needed one look to know that there was something else going on. The kitten's wild nature still existed, but after all, it was a kitten and its strength was limited. Jingwan quickly reached out and pulled the silk cloth on the table to cover the kitten. Then she pinched the back of the kitten's neck and lifted it up. It was only in this limited space that she was able to catch it so smoothly. If it was outside, Jingwan really wasn't sure. Compared to Jingwan's great indifference, the guards and servant girls were relieved. The owner of the kitten, the little girl, still hoped to get the kitten back. However, the expression of the woman who chased after her changed greatly. She quickly pulled the little girl to kneel down and beg for forgiveness. Her entire body was trembling. It was obvious that she was really frightened. And the onlookers were also increasing. Those who saw the whole process and knew that it was the carriage of Jin Wangfu, all of them broke out in a cold sweat. However, when they knew that the person inside was Jin Qin Wangfei and not Jin Wangfu, many people secretly felt very lucky. https://www.bicken.com/11/11807/6653446 HTML chapter error. Click here to report. No registration required. We will deal with it as soon as possible. After reporting, please wait patiently and refresh the page. Please remember the domain name of this book: www.bicken.com. Biku Gur mobile reading website bicken.com. Chapter 270. Jingwan looked at the kitten in her hands. It looked like an ordinary field cat with clean fur. Even so, she didn't hold it in her arms. He wasn't sure if it was what he expected, and he didn't know what kind of danger this cat might pose. As a member of the royal family, he had to be on guard against everything. This was something that made him feel rather helpless. Well, it wasn't just the imperial family's problem. Ordinary people's families could also cause trouble. In the inner chambers of some rich and powerful families, there were dramas that were comparable to palace intrigues. If one wasn't careful, they could get hurt or fall ill. If it was serious, their reputation would be ruined or they might even lose their lives. "Nanny, what's going on outside?" Jingwan asked softly. Nanny Gong gave her a concise account of what had happened. Jingwan asked the servants to hang up the curtains. She sat upright on the bed and looked at the guards who were ready for battle. They drew their swords and looked at the adult and child on the ground. Perhaps the child was influenced by the adults, but it wasn't as fearless as it was at the beginning. "Nanny, take this kitten and return it to the little girl. It's not a big deal. Let's forget about it. The princess is kind," Nanny Gong said. Jingwan smiled. She really didn't think that it was a big deal. However, in this era, when a person in a higher position did something good, it was called benevolence. When a person in a middle position did something, it was called kindness. When a person in a lower position, it was very likely that they had bad intentions. This was the huge difference brought by status. It was completely different from her previous life. Nanny Gong took the kitten and walked to the two people. She handed it over. "You must be careful in the future. Today you met our princess. If it was another noble, I don't know what would happen. Even if it's not a noble, it's easy to bump into people if you run around like this. It's not good to hurt yourself. Yes, yes, yes. Nanny is right. Thank you, Nanny. Thank you, princess. All right, you can leave first. Nanny Gong waved her hand. Nanny, please wait a moment. It was my niece who bumped into Princess's carriage. Princess is kind and doesn't care about it, but we can't be rude. This humble woman has nothing else but a few kittens. One of them is a Western cat that is exceptionally obedient and beautiful. Perhaps your Highness doesn't lack such a small thing. Please take it as an apology. Your Highness, please accept it. The woman's voice was slightly raised. Clearly, she was saying this for Jingwan to hear. Who was Granny Gong? With her sharp eyes, she naturally saw the subtle changes in the woman's expression. She narrowed her eyes slightly. I hope Princess can accept it. Otherwise, I'll feel uneasy. Nanny, since that's the case, let her send the cat to the prince's mansion later. Jingwan's voice sounded at the right time. Many thanks, Princess Consort. Many thanks, Princess Consort. The woman was filled with gratitude. Let's return to the Fu. The people of Jin Qin Wang Fu, even if Wang Ye was present, they still treated Jingwan's words as the first rule. Of course, Wang Ye's special words were an exception. However, they knew that according to Wang Ye's care for Wang Fei, this kind of situation was very rare. It probably only happened when there was a dispute between the husband and wife. Therefore, they would naturally listen to what Jingwan said. But when they returned, they might be punished. After all, it was their dereliction of duty that allowed the cat to jump into the carriage. Fortunately, nothing happened. If someone had ulterior motives, they couldn't absolve themselves from the blame even if they died 10,000 times. They couldn't say that they didn't do anything wrong just because there were no serious consequences. When Jingwan's carriage left, the onlookers discussed animatedly. They couldn't help but think of the bet on Jingwan. At that time, many people had the mentality of watching a play. After all, it had nothing to do with them. But now, looking at it, Jin Qin Wang Fei is a good person. Good people should be rewarded. The onlookers agreed. Only, marrying a person like Jin Qin Wang, in the end, she married the wrong man. That woman hurriedly left with the little girl. While no one was paying attention, they turned left and right and quickly left the area. The woman appeared to be very careful. While walking, she looked left and right. It was fine if they didn't pay attention. But once they were noticed, it would definitely make people feel that there was something wrong. In fact, there were indeed people who noticed. To be exact, they were being followed from the moment they left the scene. Since there were people acting suspiciously, they naturally wouldn't ignore them. After turning a few streets, the surroundings became quieter and quieter. It was obvious that the surrounding area was where ordinary people lived. The two of them turned into a secluded alley and entered one of the houses. A man stuck his head out to take a look, then quickly turned around and closed the door. At the entrance of the alley, two men in ordinary clothes walked in while chatting. No matter if it was their clothes or their words and actions, they didn't look the least bit strange as they passed by the door of the small courtyard. The woman who was still calm before, when she entered the house and faced the other people in the house, her face paled and her legs went soft. Another good old woman hurriedly reached out to support her. What happened, ah? Could it be that things didn't go well? The other people also had nervous expressions. If things didn't go well, they didn't dare to imagine what the consequences would be. They hurriedly brought out the little girl who called her mother. The woman panted a few times. Things went well, but this little beast ran into Jin Qin Wang Fei's carriage. Once these words came out, everyone's expression changed. If things went wrong, they would all die. Although the person came back safely and was right in front of their eyes, but thinking about the matter made them fearful and fearful. What's the specific situation? Quickly say it clearly. The woman narrated the matter in full detail. Fortunately, Jin Qin Wang Fei has a good temper. If she met someone like Gong Qinhuang Fei, even if she didn't die, she would lose half her life. Unconsciously, beads of sweat had already seeped out of her forehead. Indeed. At present, it seems that things are developing in the opposite direction. The rest depends on whether this cat can truly be sent out. Then, who is going to send this cat? The woman asked. Clearly, the previous matter had already exhausted all her courage. Sister-in-law, don't worry, we won't ask you to go again. The previous matter, because you are the most suitable, we will take care of the following matters. The man who closed the door said. That's good, that's good. The woman patted her chest. You've worked hard today, go rest. That cat, this old woman will personally send it. The old woman regained her composure, with determination and perseverance. Mother. You don't need to say anything, Kuexan, died so miserably. As her mother, I have to do something for her. The old woman couldn't stop her tears from falling. At the same time, there was unspeakable hatred and ruthlessness on her face. I only have this one biological child, I lost half my life to give birth to her. That bunch of beasts, that bunch of beasts. Mother, it's all our fault, we didn't protect little sister, it's all our fault. The man beside her was also extremely remorseful. No, it's not your fault, it happened so suddenly, no one thought. It's just, Mother, is it really okay to choose Jean Qinhuang? The other man asked hesitantly. Since it was your second brother's choice, naturally it's not wrong. Now that we've come to this step, there's no room for retreat. Jean Qinhuang's fierce reputation is outside, no matter how much of it is faked, he's definitely not a good character. His matters, if we reveal even a single word, including second brother, we will all die without a burial place. Isn't it better for a person like Jean Qinhuang? As long as you agree to us, in the end, it will definitely be as we wish, and there won't be any accidents. Since the matter had been decided, there wouldn't be anyone who wavered. The next day, the old woman hugged the pure white cat with purple eyes and was about to go out. Grandmother, are we really going to give Zitong to that Wang Fei? The little girl asked reluctantly. It's us who offended Wang Fei. Naturally we should make amends. Darling, don't you think so? The little girl was obviously well educated. She looked at the cat with eager eyes, but didn't snatch it, nor did she cry or make a fuss. Giving the cat was just an excuse, in the end, she didn't really need to give it away. However, this matter wasn't settled, so it wasn't good to tell her. The guards who followed Jingwan out, because of Jingwan's plea, finally each received 5 lashes as a warning to others. This was something that Jingwan knew. These 5 lashes were something that she couldn't cut off. Li Hongyuan could indulge her in most things, but there were some things that couldn't be discussed. Wan, if you say it again, then each person will receive 500 lashes. Jingwan didn't know the concept of 500 lashes, but it was certain that they would be beaten to a pulp. It was also certain that they would lose their lives. Jingwan obediently stopped bargaining. Yuan, you can't say one thing in front of the other. Now that you said 5 lashes, I'll increase it when I give the order. Li Hongyuan coldly snorted. Obviously, he had this plan. Does a Yuan have the heart to lie to me? Jingwan was now getting along with Li Hongyuan more and more smoothly and naturally. When it was necessary to be gentle, she should be gentle. When it was necessary to be gentle, she should be gentle. When it was necessary to be gentle, she should be gentle. When it was necessary to be firm, she should be firm. And when it was necessary to be firm, she should be firm. You also don't like to pretend to be obedient, right? Okay, this prince means what he says. If I say 5 lashes, then I will give you 5 lashes. Irrelevant people are worth your trouble. Jingwan smoothly suppressed a certain someone who was about to change his face. When the cat was delivered, Jingwan was reading a book, and Li Hongyuan was lying on her lap taking a nap. He looked like a quiet and handsome man. Jingwan didn't need Gong Mama to remind her. She knew that it wasn't a simple delivery of the cat. Perhaps the person she was waiting for had finally arrived. Jingwan gently lifted his head and slowly moved it away. She put a pillow under his head and covered him with a blanket. Only then did she quietly leave. Unexpectedly, Li Hongyuan watched her leave. Wan Wan wanted to help him as much as she could, and he didn't want Jing Wan to become a canary in a cage. When Jing Wan saw the person, she wasn't surprised. It wasn't the one at noon. She looked at the cat that was presented. At this time, its claws had been carefully trimmed. Its pink and tender feet looked harmless and cute. Jing Wan felt that it was a little pitiful. https://www.bicken.com/11/11807/6653449. HTML. We will deal with it as soon as possible. After reporting, please wait patiently and refresh the page. Please remember the domain name of this book: www.bicken.com. Biku Gur mobile reading website, bicken.com. Chapter 271. The kitten was placed beside Jing Wan. Jing Wan used her hand to stroke the kitten from head to tail. Inexplicably, she felt like she was stroking someone's fur. "Princess consort, do you like this cat?" The old woman was a bit cautious and reserved. She also had the indescribable excitement of meeting a noble person. It was very suitable for an ordinary woman. Jing Wan nodded and said with a smile, "Auntie, what is your surname?" She had the intention to chat with the old woman. "This commoner's husband's surname is Zhou." The old woman also had the intention to continue chatting with Jing Wan. "The old man is already gone. That old thing was so cruel, he even took his eldest son away. It's fine if he made this old woman a widow, but he also made her send off her own child." Saying this, her eyes couldn't help turning red. "My condolences." Other than this, Jing Wan didn't know what else to say. The old woman wiped the corners of her eyes. "This is something that happened many years ago. I've let Princess Consort see a joke. This commoner originally had 4 sons and 1 daughter, but the one who offended the Princess Consort this morning was the eldest daughter of the 3rd son, who is also the eldest granddaughter. That woman is the eldest daughter-in-law, and speaking of her, she is a pitiful person. When the eldest son was alive, they didn't have a son or a daughter. Her maternal family only had her brother and sister-in-law, and they were all harsh people. They couldn't bear for her to go back and suffer, so they wanted her to remarry, but she wasn't willing. All these years, she has served this commoner without any complaints or regrets. The 3rd son is still all right. He and his wife already have a son and a daughter, so it can be considered complete." Jing Wan secretly thought, "It's here. This should be the reason." "Oh, Princess Consort, you don't know. Our family has 5 children. Only our daughter was born to this commoner and the old man. The other 4 sons were all adopted. This commoner married him for many years and didn't have a child. I don't know how much medicine I ate and how many Buddhas I prayed to, but there was no result. He was an honest and filial person. He resisted the pressure of his parents and didn't divorce this commoner. Fortunately, he was the eldest son, so this commoner's heart didn't feel so guilty. After the 2 elders passed away, the brothers separated from the family. The other brothers called him unfilial and kicked us out of the family with almost nothing. We moved away from our original residence. The old man said, "It doesn't matter if we don't have a child. We can just adopt one." So we had the eldest son. He was originally a beggar. Once he started, there was no end. The 2nd son was kidnapped. After he escaped, he met us. But at that time he fell ill. When he woke up, he didn't remember his original home. The 3rd child had no parents and was treated harshly by his uncle and aunt. As for the 4th child, he was originally a posthumous child. When his mother gave birth to him, she died in childbirth. However, I never thought that I would get pregnant 3 years later. I was so happy that I was extremely careful about the children in my belly and naturally neglected them. However, they were all very sensible. The older one took care of the younger one and never let me worry about the housework. In fact, in order to let me eat better, the older one and the younger one secretly went out to work. At that time, they were 13 and 11. I felt that with these children, even if they were not my biological children, my life was worth it. Recalling the past, the old woman was unable to control herself. There was one time when the old man went out to work and saved a person. Who would have thought that the person was coincidentally second brother's biological father? Naturally, we were happy that second brother was able to come home. In order to thank our family, second brother only changed his surname and did not use his original name. Although second brother's family was not high officials or nobles, to us, they were already too high to reach. Their family, on the other hand, were kind people. We were not willing to move to their city, but we still sent a lot of things to them every year. However, one year we suddenly lost contact with them. We were worried, so we asked the older one to look for them. The result was that something happened to their family, and the whole family was gone. We did not know the details. During that time, our family was very depressed. Then, there was a robbery. The old man was beaten. The older one went to reason with them, but in the end, he was beaten to death. It was simply a disaster. The third child was schemed against and owed a debt. Then, there was a natural disaster. It was clear that they did not want to give us a way out. My daughter's name was Ku Xian. She was very beautiful, but she was taken away by the bad guys. She was only 11 years old. It was simply heartless. Just when the family was in despair, the younger one came back. He was a good child, but he seemed to have changed into a different person. He was a man of few words. He immediately went to save my daughter. Although the result was not the worst, but he was one step too late. From then on, Ku Xian was very afraid of men. Other than the younger one who saved her, no one else, including her other brothers and father, could get close to her. At that time, her father was still lying in bed, and his condition was getting worse and worse. At that time, the younger one promised that he would wait for Ku Xian to grow up and marry her as his wife. As long as she does not despise him for being a loner. Speaking of which, how could she despise him for being a loner? But what happened to him that made him like this? He had a fiancée, but before the wedding, his fiancée suddenly went into mourning, and the wedding was postponed. When we asked him about his fiancée, he only said that the engagement was annulled. Jingwan listened quietly. This could be considered as solving the mystery of why the Imperial Guard's great commander was not married even though he was almost 30 years old. After the old man passed away, the younger one did not know what happened to his family. He was afraid that he would implicate us. That's why he seldom contacted us, and he was very secretive. These few years, he had been climbing up the social ladder, but he treated us and Ku Xian the same. We came to Beijing a year ago, and we wanted to help them get married. But now, the situation is not optimistic. The younger one is in a special position, and he is worried that it will be dangerous for us to be in public. He wants to wait for 1 or 2 years until everything is settled. We all trust him, and Ku Xian has been waiting happily to be his second brother's wife. But, speaking up to this point, the old woman could not hold it in anymore and cried. When faced with this kind of situation, no one could persuade her, especially when she was facing a stranger for the first time. Of course, this was a special case. Ku Xian only went to the embroidery house once. She usually goes there, so there is nothing to be worried about. But a few days ago, she did not come back. When we found her, it was already 2 days later. My daughter, she died so miserably. There was not a single part of her body that was not injured. Her eyes were wide open before she died. She died with grievances. Those bastards. The old woman covered her face and cried until her body trembled. Jingwan did not say anything and only asked someone to fetch water. After the old woman vented her emotions, she let her wash her face. After the old woman calmed down, she looked at Jingwan apologetically. I have made a fool of myself in front of Princess Consort. Auntie, don't mind it. This is human nature. This was the most tragic thing in a person's life. Losing one's father at a young age, losing one's husband at a middle age, and losing one's son at an old age. Jingwan was not sure if she was the first one, but the last two were the portrayal of her misery. Princess Consort is merciful to allow this commoner to talk nonsense. Princess Consort, you should know what this commoner means, right? The old woman said eagerly. Jingwan did not pretend to be stupid and directly nodded. There are not many people who know about our prince's real situation, and these people are all working for our prince. Let me guess. Auntie, you are talking about your second son. Is it the current commander of the Imperial Guards, Official Yu? Although it was not far from the truth, she still had to verify it. She did not want to make a big mistake in the end. Both of them said things that they thought the other party understood, but in fact, it was not the same. That would be fun. Although the possibility was low, she still had to be prepared. It wasn't as if there had never been a case where the entire plan had collapsed due to some insignificant reasons. The old woman nodded. Yes. Everyone in the capital knows that Official Yu does not have any relatives. They only know that he is the second son based on his name. But it turns out that there is such a story behind it. The second son is the second son in our family, but he is the eldest son in the Yu family. But in order to match his name, the Yu family spread the news that he had an elder brother who died young. So it's like that. The Yu family is a family that is loyal and affectionate. But to be able to raise Official Yu to be such a dignified person, your Zhou family cannot go unnoticed. Princess Consort is too kind. Her own child was praised, and even her own family was recognized. Naturally, she was happy. Although it is very presumptuous, can you tell me who the other party is? Although Jingwan said it in a tactful manner, the old woman understood. The second son's identity is limited, so it is not convenient to investigate some things. But there is one person whose identity is confirmed, and that is Prince Rui's brother-in-law. The last sentence was filled with endless hatred. If the person in question was in front of her, she might skin him alive and drink his blood. At the mention of Prince Rui's brother-in-law, Jingwan thought of the flower competition at the flower market last year. Was it the same person? If it was, it could only be said that this kind of person was beyond the scope of a hedonistic son. Killing a good girl to death was not something that could be brushed aside just because he was rich and powerful and spent all day eating, drinking, and fooling around. His father was a cabinet elder who was busy fighting for power and neglected the education of his children. Even if he ascended to the sky, the Lu family would not be able to stand in the clouds for long. Jingwan stroked the kitten, then picked it up and handed it back to the old woman. Auntie, take this little guy back. I think your granddaughter will like it very much. I won't take it away from her. Princess Consort, you. The old woman's face suddenly changed. Don't misunderstand. I will talk to His Highness. Moreover, Lord Yu is the commander of the Imperial Guards. Many people want to win him over. Now that he has delivered himself to His Highness's door, His Highness has no reason to refuse. I don't like those people who commit crimes. I will do my best to facilitate a win-win situation. Thank you, Princess Consort. Thank you, Princess Consort. The old woman knelt down and kowtowed with tears of gratitude. Get up. Jingwan hurriedly reached out to help her up. This humble woman has a presumptuous request. Can His Highness help me find out who this person is? Okay. https://www.bicken.com/11/11807/6653452 HTML. Click here to report an error. Registration is not required. We will deal with it as soon as possible. After reporting, please wait patiently and refresh the page. Please remember the domain name of this book: www.bicken.com. Bicken.com Mobile Edition. Chapter 272. The old woman seemed to have said a lot, but because she got into the main topic from the beginning, she didn't spend much time on it. However, this was the prince's mansion after all. Usually, no one would come here. Even if it was an old woman who did not attract much attention, if someone came here on a whim, who knew what kind of trouble it would cause? The living king of hell would definitely be fine. It was just that before the Zhou family could help, it would not be good if the Zhou family got into trouble first. Before leaving, Jingwan told the old woman, "Auntie, after you go back, don't do unnecessary things with the family. However, regarding your daughter's matter, fight for it. Other than that, just pretend that you don't know anything and don't have anyone backing you up. If someone wants to use money to settle the matter, just accept it when you think it's enough. Don't do unnecessary things and hurt yourself. Leave the rest to us. No matter who it is, no matter how involved they are in the murder, one day they will pay a heavy price." The old woman was a little agitated, but she suppressed it in the end. However, her expression didn't look good. This commoner doesn't want their stinky money. My daughter's life, my daughter's reputation. Auntie, don't be agitated. Listen to me first. The money itself isn't wrong, it's the people who use it that are wrong. If you feel uncomfortable with the money, use it to help people in need. After all, the other party had killed someone, so they would definitely feel guilty. If you don't accept it, they will think that you won't let it go. In that case, no one knows what they will do. Perhaps it is because of you that Lord Yu is suppressing his anger and pain. If something happens to all of you, he will no longer have any restraints. What will he do? Even if he is highly valued by the emperor, his position is destined to be a lonely official. Then, can he wrestle with Prince Rue? The old woman's lips trembled and tears flashed in her eyes. Princess consort, you are right. My daughter is already gone. I can't let my son and the whole family be lost. At the same time, she thought that her second son might have thought of the key points, but he didn't say anything. Was he trying his best to protect them now? It's good that you can think it through. I know that when it comes to this kind of thing, it's easy for others to say, but you can't experience that kind of pain. You can't be rational just because you want to. Even if you do something irrational, it's understandable. In fact, you are much stronger than the average person. You are also a mother worthy of respect. Princess consort is indeed princess consort. You say different things. However, this commoner really doesn't dare to accept it. Jing Wan didn't say anything more. She ordered someone to send the old woman out. She must ensure her safety and eliminate any possible danger. Of course, there was no need for Jing Wan to say anything. When Jing Wan nodded to accept Yu Zhongqing's surrender and accepted the Zhou family, Li Hongyuan had basically taken their lives. Jing Wan's mood was not relaxed. No matter what, Zhou Kesun deserved sympathy. However, this was something that she had never seen before. In her previous life, she knew more about this kind of thing. In her previous life, the feudal society was conservative. Even if a woman died tragically, as long as she was defiled, the woman and her family would not be pitied. That was why not many people knew about this kind of thing. In Jingwan's previous life, she had seen a lot of news about this kind of thing. When people first heard about it, they might be angry, but after a while, they might be numb. She was suspecting her husband's role in this matter. Her understanding of Li Hongyuan was still far from 100%. However, from what she knew, she was sure that he would do such a thing to get Yu Zhongqing's support. After all, his situation was special. If he wanted to ascend the throne, he had to either force the emperor to abdicate or kill all his brothers. When Emperor Lu Chengdi only had one son, even if he was a Japanese, he would not give the throne to an outsider. The reputation of these two paths was not good. However, as long as it was controlled properly, the casualties of the first path could be minimized. Yu Zhongqing was an indispensable part of this plan. After all, he was the head of the imperial palace's security. Taking him down was equivalent to taking down all the gates of the imperial palace without sacrificing a single soldier. Fighting for the throne was tough. The road was full of thorns and blood. It was inevitable to use some cruel means. If he had to do it, as long as it didn't involve himself or hurt his loved ones, Jingwan wouldn't say anything. If it was necessary, she was even willing to do some things for him. If it wasn't necessary, she hoped that he would be merciful. Since she had her suspicions, Jingwan decided to verify it. Otherwise, no matter what the truth was, there would be a knot in her heart. Li Hongyuan had already stood up and was leisurely flipping through a book. When he heard the noise, he raised his head and looked at Jingwan. Finished. Seeing Jingwan's strange expression, he asked, "What, is there a problem?" He waved his hand and asked Jingwan to come to his side. Jingwan didn't refuse. She sat beside him and asked him about her suspicions. Li Hongyuan was not angry. It was better to ask everything than to keep it in. "I know about Yu Zhongqing's background, and I'm sure my brothers know about it as well. It's just that they don't know about the Zhou family. To be precise, almost no outsiders knew that the Yu family's eldest son had been missing for several years. Yu Zhongqing's father had kept this matter a secret very well, and even raised another person to live in the Yu family. When I sent people to investigate his background, I was almost fooled. It's because of this that no one paid attention to Yu Zhongqing. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to hide the Zhou family so well. In fact, if it weren't for his previous life, Li Hongyuan wouldn't have known about Yu Zhongqing's background." "Then, what does a Yuan want to tell me? For me, I don't necessarily need Yu Zhongqing. Although I know about the existence of the Zhou family, this matter has nothing to do with me." Such a thing had happened in his previous life. Because it was related to Yu Zhongqing, he could barely remember it, but he didn't know when it happened. At most, he would let it go, but he had no obligation to protect the Zhou family. And this matter was beneficial to him, so why should he stop it? If it weren't for Wan Wan, in order to subdue Yu Zhongqing, the Zhou family would have been schemed against by me. Wan Wan doesn't want me to kill needlessly, right? Jingwan reached out and hugged him, burying her head in his neck. "Ah Yuan." Li Hongyuan smiled. His Wan Wan was surprisingly easily moved. So, Jingwan was miserably deceived by him. "By the way," Jingwan got up and looked at him. "Since you investigated Lord Yu so clearly, you must know what happened to the Yu family. He is the only one left in his family. According to his adoptive mother, he still doesn't know who the mastermind is. Ah Yuan, you must know, right? So what if I know? Then I'll be a good person until the end. Wan Wan, which eye of yours can see that your husband is a good person?" Li Hongyuan smiled lightly, especially with his eyes. However, as she spent day and night with him, Jingwan's perception became more and more acute. At this time, someone was a little dangerous. Well, when his illness acted up, it meant that she had to bow down. It was reasonable to say that occasionally jealous between husband and wife could improve their relationship. However, a certain someone completely took it as a form of entertainment and would act up from time to time. Sometimes, he even deliberately used it as a pretext to make a fuss. If you thought that he was being unreasonable and ignored him, he would instantly turn evil and the consequences would be even more serious. Therefore, this kind of thing should be avoided as much as possible. One of the minefields was that other men must not be paid too much attention to. Ah Yuan, regardless of whether you are a good person or a bad person, there is no such thing as a pure good person or a pure bad person in the world. I simply feel that since he is about to become your subordinate, giving him an appropriate benefit is also the way to rule, isn't it? Now, you probably can't immediately help him take revenge for the new hatred, but for the old hatred, even if you just tell him who his enemy is, he should be deeply grateful to you, right? Naturally, his loyalty will be higher. So, everything is for your sake. Look at my sincere eyes. Li Hongyuan smiled and kissed her eyes. Wan Wan is doing her best for her husband. I am very comforted. Was this what she meant by exhausting herself? Then, at a certain someone's level, he had probably died 800 times. However, whatever you say, it is fine as long as you don't go crazy easily. But thinking about it, Ah Yuan must be aware of these things in his heart. I am just doing something unnecessary. Nothing can compare to Wan Wan's sincerity. The way to rule naturally didn't need anyone to teach him. Wan Wan's original intention was definitely not like this. Seeing that she was trying so hard to avoid his love, he would let her off this time. However, The narrow-minded living king of hell said that his wife could do whatever she wanted, but he couldn't just let Yu Zhongqing off the hook. He would remember this debt. As a result, Li Hongyuan's army of miserable people increased by another member. They were always being dealt with in various ways, but they didn't know the reason. However, just because of this, they wouldn't go as far as to switch sides. After seeing Li Hongyuan's ability and means, if they still had other thoughts, then their brains would be flooded with water. However, since Lord Yu already knows something about a Yuan, will he suspect that you are scheming against him? Jing Wan tapped his shoulder. As someone who shares a pillow, that's what he thinks. If he is so suspicious and secretly planted a double agent, this kind of thing won't happen. The Zhou family is already his most sincere proof of allegiance. He is a person who values friendship and righteousness. He won't let a second person control the Zhou family. Since he has done so, he won't suspect me. However, since Wan mentioned this, I will go and confirm it. In fact, it didn't matter. There would always be trouble to deal with in the future. Therefore, the slightest possibility should be nipped in the bud. But there should be other things in the next 2 days. What? You will know when the time comes. Wan will like it, but I'm afraid you will have to work hard at that time. Since you like it, what's the harm in working hard? I am looking forward to it. https://www.bicken.com/11/11807/6653457. HTML. We will handle it as soon as possible. After reporting, please wait patiently and refresh the page. Please remember the domain name of this book: www.bicken.com. Bicken. Com mobile version reading website. Bicken.com. Chapter 273. The next day, also at night, after Jing Wan went to bed, Li Hongyuan let someone lead Yu Zhongqing into Jin Qin Wang Fu. Perhaps it was the first time he saw Li Hongyuan's imposing manner. Yu Zhongqing unconsciously knelt down. Li Hongyuan sat in the chair behind the main table, looking down at Yu Zhongqing. He still looked the same as usual, with some carelessness. The other people in the room didn't dare to breathe loudly, especially Yu Zhongqing. After a while, his forehead couldn't stop the fine beads of sweat from falling. It wasn't the first day or two that he faced Lu Chengdi, but he never felt this kind of pressure. Not the emperor, but better than the emperor. This kind of man was born to be the emperor. If he wasn't the emperor, then he must be a figure like the regent. No matter how old the person on the throne was, as long as he was there, he could only be a puppet. And if the person in power was ambitious and unwilling to be manipulated, then Li Hongyuan would certainly usurp the throne and bring disaster to the world. Yu Zhongqing secretly clenched his fist, rejoicing that he chose this kind of person, but at the same time, he was somewhat apprehensive. Because this kind of master wasn't easy to get along with. This kind of master had strong control over the people below, but weak reliance. Thinking of his usual reputation and style, it could be imagined what would happen if he betrayed him. In a short time, Yu Zhongqing's thoughts turned thousands of times, but he always paid attention to Li Hongyuan's reaction. If he was distracted the first time, he wouldn't need to mix in the future. And for a worthless person, why should his master take revenge for him? The next time Li Hongming comes to find you, just agree that you don't need to get any information from him. On the contrary, Ben Wang will provide you with some convenience and help you stand firm on his side. Ben Wang has always believed that it is only interesting to take revenge on your own. It is more interesting to endure humiliation and work by the enemy's side. At the crucial moment, stabbing him with a knife is more interesting. Yu Zhongqing lowered his head. The enmity of his family's extermination, he was able to draw a bow but not release it. Now, it was just a knife hidden on the enemy's side. Yes. Ingda didn't hesitate. The only problem now was that he had been rejecting the other party all this while. Now that he suddenly agreed, he naturally needed a suitable reason. He would probably have to deal with this himself. This prince will take care of the Zhou family and arrange suitable jobs for them. Unless they seek death themselves, the one who dies will be someone else. Thank you, Your Highness. Yu Zhongqing said gratefully. There was nothing wrong with Yu Zhongqing's character, and he was determined enough. However, he was also a cold person. Otherwise, he wouldn't have remained untouched for so many years. The Zhou family was probably the only soft spot in his heart. As for Zhou Curson, it doesn't matter if Zhou Curson treats her as his fiancée or his younger sister. The Zhou family is Zhou Curson's weakness. Dong Xuebing blamed himself for what happened to Zhou Curson. If he had exposed them from the start, no one would dare to treat Zhou Curson like this. But now, it has happened, and it's useless to think about it. Take revenge and send those people to hell one by one. Yu Zhongqing had not avenged his family's extermination, and now, he had to bear new hatred. Although Yu Zhongqing's expression did not change, his mentality had changed. Once such a person is buried in hatred, he will be very scary. How much do you know about your family? Li Hongyuan asked. Yu Zhongqing abruptly raised his head and glanced at Li Hongyuan before quickly lowering his head. This subordinate is incompetent. Li Hongyuan could clearly see the uncontrollable malevolence in Yu Zhongqing's body. However, Li Hongyuan was not affected at all. You know nothing? You are also useless. I really wonder how you got to your current position. However, that person today cherishes power and authority. His sons are growing up one by one. Although he appears to be benevolent, he is actually more and more wary of others. It is reasonable that he would rely on someone like you who has no family or background and who is respected by others because you rely on him. To put it bluntly, Yu Zhongqing was only able to climb to the position of the palace guard's chief commander because of luck. This was what Li Hongyuan meant. Yu Zhongqing was neither sad nor happy. It was not known if he thought so himself, or if he did not care about this matter at all. Wang Fei's mouth is soft, but her heart is even softer. She can't bear to see others not doing well. You didn't do anything for Ben Wang, but she asked for benefits for you first. It's Wang Fei's benevolence. He already knew how the Zhou family got close to Jean Wang Fei. If it was someone else, not to mention achieving their goal, it would be good if they did not cause trouble. It's good that you know. Yu Zhongqing, treat Ben Wang as your master. She is the second master, the same as Ben Wang. Do you understand? Li Hongyuan naturally wanted to tear the person who was thinking about Jing Wan into pieces. But other than that, Li Hongyuan did not mind adding more capital for her. Yu Zhongqing's heart trembled. Although he realized that Jin Qin Wang treated Wang Fei differently, he did not expect it to be to this extent. Yes. However, she thinks that you might think that Ben Wang is scheming against you. She also thinks that Ben Wang is worried for nothing. Then, Yu Zhongqing, what do you think? The sweat on Yu Zhongqing's forehead became more obvious. He did not know if his new master was using Wang Fei to test him or if he had other motives. Sure enough, even if he was kneeling here, the dust had not settled yet. Wang Fei is sincere in thinking about Wang Yi. It's understandable for her to think more about Wang Yi. This subordinate might have had such doubts before, but from now on, this subordinate will not have such thoughts anymore. Because Wang Ye does not need it. That's right, he does not need it. Perhaps to him, he was of little value. At this moment, Yu Zhongqing's understanding was very clear. Yu Daren's words are too much. You are still useful to Ben Wang. With you around, at least fewer people will die. After all, Wang Fei hopes that Ben Wang will kill less. Human lives, in his mouth, were decided so lightly. Was it according to his nature that he did not mind using absolute force to solve everything? Did it not matter if blood flowed like a river and people were plunged into misery and suffering? It made people rejoice that there was still someone like Jin Qin Wang who could tie him down. Ben Wang will send people to investigate your family's matter. The time limit is 1 month. Many thanks, Wang Ye. All right, you can go back. This subordinate will retire. Yu Zhongqing got up and left. Li Hongyuan sat quietly in the study for a while. He did not have the mood to deal with other matters and went back to sleep. Hugging his wife to sleep was a great enjoyment. Jin Qin Wang, who had always indulged in enjoyment, expressed that this matter could not be stopped. Jing Wan was in a daze and mumbled a few words. She was also in a half-asleep and half-awake state, but she seemed to be used to it from time to time. Yu Zhongqing. Jing Wan made an "oh" sound and continued to sleep without any effect. This actually had a bit of a sequela for Jing Wan. That was, she would mistakenly think that she was dreaming. When she woke up the next morning, she would completely forget about it. When she suddenly remembered at a certain time, she would know that she had forgotten something important. She was speechless towards Li Hongyuan and even suspected that he did it on purpose. However, even so, this point had not changed. The next day, Li Hongyuan got up early and directly had people bring over the Qin Wang robe. Wearing it, he was handsome and heroic. But looking at this person's appearance, no one would associate him with powerlessness, even though he was indeed not related to this point. From the first morning of their marriage, Jing Wan had never helped Li Hongyuan dress. To a certain extent, she was really an unqualified wife. Even when they slept at night, she slept on the inner side. Occasionally, when she woke up in the middle of the night, it was also Li Hongyuan who got up to give her something to drink. She was really regressing the more she lived. At this time, Jing Wan was just symbolically helping Li Hongyuan tidy up his clothes because there was no place for her to tidy up. Why did your highness think of wearing a Qin Wang robe today? To attend court. Jing Wan was slightly startled. What? She just realized that this man was a Qin Wang who needed to attend court. But she couldn't be blamed. Who asked him to do this kind of thing since they got married a month ago? Thus, Jing Wan looked at Li Hongyuan with a teasing gaze. Has your highness thought it through today? This prince wants to hug his wife and continue to sleep. Unfortunately, the one on the dragon throne sent word that I must come today. Ah Yuan, why are you so obedient? Jing Wan moved closer. You have your own matters to attend to. Wan knows me well. Jing Wan patted him. Don't talk nonsense. Hurry and go. Don't be too late and provoke public anger. They were already angry 800 years ago. But since Ben Wang is willing to show up, they should be deeply grateful. If they have any opinions, they should hold it in for Ben Wang. It was those people who had long been numb to it. Li Hongyuan left Jin Qin Wang Fu. The Qin Wang ceremonial guards entered the palace in a grandiose manner. On the carriage, his expression was calm and without any ripples. The next day, after Jing Wan and the others returned from the country residence and entered the palace to pay their respects, Lu Chengdi received a secret memorial. This year in the Jiangnan region, there were problems with several counties' academy examinations. Corruption was not enough to justify it. They openly looked for people to take the examinations and bribed the examiners to buy places. For some reason, it was exposed. More than a dozen students died in succession. The matter was getting bigger and bigger, and the scope was getting wider and wider. In particular, there was a county that was affected by last year's flood and had yet to recover its vitality. When this matter came out, it was simply one disaster after another. At the same time, for some reason, the salt policy was also involved. The officials filled their own pockets and officials protected each other. The loss of money amounted to tens of millions of taels. Along with the secret memorial, there was also a list of people's positions and their affiliation. Among the princes who participated in the court, except for the rich Li Hongyuan, even the sickly fifth Wang Ye was among them. Of course, it was said that this was only a part of it. One could imagine Lu Chengdi's expression. Looking at all his sons, he wished he could tear them apart alive. Originally, as an adult prince, it was understandable for him to receive some filial piety. Lu Chengdi also would not care. But the amount was so huge, where did he use it? What did he want to do? He was not dead yet. Digression. Dear friends, don't look forward to the second chapter today. The author will spend the rest of his days on the train with the baby. Plus, he will get dizzy from reading or playing with his phone on the train. Can he write? Definitely not. Haha, love you all. https://www. Bicken. com/11/11807/6653459. HTML chapter error. Click here to report. No registration required. We will deal with it as soon as possible. After reporting, please wait patiently and refresh the page. Please remember the domain name of this book: www.bicken.com. Biku Pavilion Mobile Reading Website: bicken.com. Chapter 274. Each and every one of them wanted to defend themselves, but they were often scolded as soon as they opened their mouths. The more they spoke, the more miserable they were scolded. Disobedience, unfilial, disrespect, and even treason were scolded. Of course, not everyone was qualified to receive the last one. As the saying goes, the tallest tree in the forest will be destroyed by the wind. This was probably the best description of Prince Kong and Prince Rue, followed by the Gong Prince. These big trees endured the merciless destruction of Lu Chengdi's storm. All their jobs were suspended, and they didn't receive any salary for several years. If it weren't for Ruan Rue Zhong's persuasion before Lu Chengdi opened his mouth to remove their titles, Lu Chengdi was afraid that he would have overthrown all the powerful princes. Although in the future, if he wanted to restore his title and remove the imprisonment, it was only a matter of a word from him. But the emperor also needed a reason to change his orders, and excuses were not so easy to find. Fortunately, Lu Chengdi wasn't completely irrational. After scolding his subjects, he found a way out. But thinking about it, it was still difficult to get rid of his anger. Their salary was suddenly increased from 3 years to 10 years. After that, they would all go home and eat their old money. If they dared to stretch their claws, he would directly chop them off. However, no matter how many years the salary was, basically no one cared. 10 years, no one believed that Lu Chengdi could sit on the throne for another 10 years. And no matter who ascended the throne, as long as they were still alive, they wouldn't be treated unfairly in terms of salary. No matter what, they would show mercy. However, Lu Chengdi, this angry lion, was not so easy to calm down this time. Including Empress Sun and imperial concubine Su, not to mention a group of favored concubines who were related to the previous dynasty. Whenever they said a word, he would immediately give them a cold face. The harem is not allowed to interfere in politics, and then leave in a huff. The concubines also became silent, not daring to say a word. Of course, the current situation was that Lu Chengdi didn't go to their palace at all. They couldn't see him, so what else could they say? They began to play tricks again. After the 2 concubines were demoted one after another, they didn't dare to make any more moves. Of course, only the favored concubines would do this kind of thing. Lu Chengdi didn't go to the harem? This was not the case. These days, he had been resting in Consort Qin Shu's Sweet Dew Palace almost every night. Now, in the imperial court and the harem, it seemed that this was the only place that could make him feel peaceful. Perhaps Qin Shufei was not a tactful person, but she was gentle and quiet. Perhaps because Lu Chengdi did not like her, she was naturally not the understanding flower in Lu Chengdi's heart. It was just that when he was irritable, he always felt more comfortable with her. Speaking of which, Lu Chengdi was a complete scumbag, a typical example of a heartless man. When Lu Chengdi held a court assembly, no one who was qualified to attend could be left out. This was the reason why Li Hongyuan attended court. Everyone outside the main hall looked at the late arrival of Jin Qinhuang. He still had that undisciplined posture, that handsome appearance, as if nothing could affect him. It really made people very jealous and very angry. Everyone's hair was turning white. For many days, even if there was a happy occasion at home, they could not reveal a smile. Not to mention the palace servants who served Lu Chengdi, they did not dare to breathe loudly. Usually, they would do everything they could to get close to Lu Chengdi. Now that they got a good job, they could only grit their teeth and open their mouths in hatred. They secretly hated that the people above were not good. In the past, they used all kinds of benefits, said all kinds of good words, but they did not have the chance to show their faces. Now, Who wants to put Jin Qin Wang in a gunny sack? Raise your hand and sign up. Let's team up and put the gunny sack. No matter what they thought, when Li Hongyuan approached, they still had to pay their respects and greet him. Just as Li Hongyuan said, his appearance was already giving face. Now that he nodded in response, the other party should feel flattered. Only Luo Peishan, as his wife's biological grandfather, could make him lower his posture and say a few words. However, the main topic of their conversation was probably Jingwan. It seemed to be harmonious, but it was more or less a little strange. It was just that Li Hongyuan's timing was more accurate. With just a few words, before the others could say anything, the court assembly began. Civil and military officials lined up in the main hall, preparing for Lu Chengdi's arrival. In this regard, Lu Chengdi almost didn't let anyone off. After all, this court assembly didn't happen every day. If he could fish for 2 days and dry the net for 3 days, then he could be a pure fatuous ruler. Sitting high on the dragon throne, he looked down at the people below and shouted, "Long live," 3 times with a calm face. However, looking at Li Hongyuan, who was obediently among them, this bastard at least didn't embarrass him this time. Among the adult princes, he was the only one who wasn't affected at all. He felt very comforted. If the others knew Lu Chengdi's thoughts, would they vomit blood in anger? If they had as much money as Li Hongyuan, they wouldn't have done anything to the salt policy. However, those who knew the real situation of Li Hongyuan only wanted to laugh at Lu Chengdi. Although they didn't know the details, how could the living king of hell be indifferent to such a fat piece of meat like the salt policy? Don't joke. It was hard to say how much money would eventually fall into his hands. This incident seemed to be unintentionally implicated because of the academy examination, but no one would believe that Li Hongyuan wasn't involved in it, especially those who clearly knew that Li Hongyuan wanted to touch Prince Rue's money. As for the others, sorry, they were all implicated by Prince Rue. The victim didn't know, and the victim didn't know. Because everyone was implicated, no one suspected that this incident was deliberately set up. They only thought that they were too unlucky. Lu Chengdi's purpose today was very simple. How to deal with these 2 incidents. Whether it was the academy examination or the salt policy, they were not trivial matters. The former could be said to be related to the future of Qi Yuan. Nearly 40% of the Qi Yuan's officials were sent from Jiangnan. If it was really serious, the other officials from Jiangnan would not be indifferent. Maybe some people would take this opportunity to do something bad, and the consequences could be imagined. As for the salt policy, a large proportion of Qi Yuan's finance also came from this. If there was a disaster or war, the national treasury was likely to be in trouble. Originally, the south had just suffered a big flood, and now the situation at the border was a little strange. How could Lu Chengdi not be furious? This time, he sent people to Jiangnan to conduct a thorough investigation. Who would be the imperial envoy? This was the most important point. Because of the wide range of connections, there were too few suitable people, and it was difficult to be impartial. The suitable people either had low status and couldn't control the situation. Even if they had the token given by the emperor and received the emperor's order, they still said beautiful words and disobeyed in public but disobeyed in private. You couldn't easily deal with them. Or they were in a high position and couldn't leave. No one had ever heard of a level 1 official being the imperial envoy. In short, all parties recommended a lot of people, but there were always people who strongly opposed. In the entire court, there was no suitable person to be found. Lu Chengdi's face turned green again. Beloved official Ruan, do you have a suitable candidate? Ruan Ruizhong stood out. Emperor, why not let Jin Qin Wang be the imperial envoy? As soon as these words were spoken, the imperial court fell deathly silent. Following this, many people voiced their objections in unison. Ruan Ruizhong was neither fast nor slow as he faced the officials. This official only asks everyone, why do you oppose? Who can be more suitable than Jin Qin Wang? Why oppose? Naturally, it was because Jin Qin Wang was useless and didn't know anything. What could he do if he went? Of course, they couldn't say it like that. In the end, he was the emperor's son. If the emperor reprimanded him like this, he could dislike him as much as he liked, but it was absolutely not up to these officials to make irresponsible remarks. Emperor, the last time 9th Wangye went to the west as an imperial envoy, the symbolic meaning was greater than the actual meaning. This time, Jin Qinhuang doesn't need to do anything, he only needs to suppress the officials in Jiangnan to achieve his goal. What kind of temper Jin Qinhuang has, everyone knows. He received the emperor's order. If he says one, who dares to say two? If he asks people to investigate thoroughly, who dares to do it half-heartedly? Moreover, Jin Qinhuang has countless wealth and has seen countless beauties. No one can buy him off. He has no relationship with the various parties in the court. In this official's opinion, even if this matter has nothing to do with his Wangye, there is no more suitable candidate than Jin Qinhuang. The words were so straightforward, and the fact was so, it made people speechless. With Jin Qinhuang's temper, taking the emperor's position was simply equivalent to taking the imperial sword that didn't exist in the Qi Yuan dynasty. Killing first and reporting later, it was absolutely not a game. Moreover, he was a prince. With the title of prince, if he killed you, then he killed you. What can you do to him? Even if you went to hell, you would have nowhere to complain. But it was also because of this that if he was appointed as an imperial envoy, then this time, Jiangnan would definitely be shaken. Who knows how many people would die, those who would be pulled down would definitely be more, and all parties would suffer heavy losses. This was absolutely not what some people wanted to see. They all racked their brains to stop it, but they really couldn't find a suitable reason. Emperor, this official agrees. Luo Peishan was the first to stand up, and then, many people expressed their agreement. And looking at Lu Chengdi's expression, it seemed that he was also very moved. Without a doubt, there was no more suitable candidate than this son. As for the worry that he would take the opportunity to seize power and buy people's hearts, as long as he let people who were completely loyal to him travel with him, all the problems would not be a problem. Lu Chengdi secretly thought that this was very good. Does anyone else have a suitable person to recommend? This basically meant that they had already agreed with the Grand Secretary's proposal. Opposition, reason, and candidate, both were indispensable, but no one could do it. Their hearts vomited blood, but they could only pinch their noses and accept it. Therefore, more and more people seconded the proposal. At this time, if they stubbornly resisted to the end, it would only leave a bad impression in front of the emperor. Did they still want to live? Have you asked for my opinion? Seeing that almost everyone seconded the proposal, Li Hongyuan very unsociably opened his mouth. This time, almost everyone choked, but soon, many people's hearts emerged with joy. Who could stop this matter? Probably only the main character. If he didn't do it, even if he was tied up and brought to Jiangnan, as long as he didn't do anything, or did something else, it would only have the opposite effect. Lu Chengdi wanted to get down from the dragon throne and beat this evil creature to death, but he also knew that if this evil creature's temper was really bad, he really couldn't do anything to him. He sighed. Old Six, are you really not willing to share the burden and solve the difficulties for Imperial Father? This time, as beloved official Ruan said, you don't need to do anything. You only need to preside over the overall situation at the appropriate time and let the subordinates work seriously. Just take it as a trip to Jiangnan. What do you think? Li Hongyuan frowned. Although he was a person who didn't yield to force or persuasion most of the time, he would occasionally yield to force, but he absolutely wouldn't yield to force. As for other things, I have the final say? Lu Chengdi's eyebrows twitched, within a reasonable range. If he really let him go, who knew what he would do? What is reasonable? Li Hongyuan tirelessly asked. Lu Chengdi was irritable. Other sons didn't have to go through so much trouble to do things. Understand by yourself, understand? But what could he do? This evil creature was spoiled by him. Outside of official business, you can eat, drink, and play as you wish. If others don't provoke you, don't casually cause trouble. More specifically, you are not a 3-year-old child. I know. If there is nothing else, I will take my leave first. When you set off, just let me know. Scram, scram. Lu Chengdi weakly waved his hand. Sometimes, he wanted to ask, what kind of sin did he commit in the end? Li Hongyuan slipped away. After deciding on the imperial envoy, the next step was to choose the main entourage. Li Hongyuan was only a mascot. These people were the most important. However, because mascots couldn't be provoked, their lethality was too great, so they had to be chosen carefully. Lu Chengdi was too lazy to wrangle with them anymore. With a wave of his hand, he only chose the most suitable person. In other words, no matter who they worked for, Lu Chengdi also said the ugly words first. If Jin Qinhuang handled it because of official business, not only would he not judge it according to the circumstances, he would also add 3 levels to the crime. If the circumstances were serious, the entire family would be searched. In order to have more deterrence, he even appointed Zhuo Qian of the Blackguard to lead 50 Blackguard to secretly accompany them. They would absolutely carry out Jin Qinhuang's orders. The Blackguard, without a doubt, belonged to the emperor's dogs. They only obeyed orders. Their execution ability was strong, their means were ruthless, and they killed people like they were scything. The people who originally had small thoughts and wanted to plan something suddenly lost 90% of their enthusiasm. The remaining 10%, if it wasn't that they didn't put Li Hongyuan in their eyes, it was that they were hoping for a fluke. Luo Peishan was an expert in this kind of thing. In any case, it wasn't the first time. Moreover, he wouldn't consider any factors other than the ability to do things. In any case, these people, no matter how they jumped around, they wouldn't be his grandson-in-law's opponent. The ones who were seeking death were themselves, it had nothing to do with him. Lu Chengdi had several other ministers make additions and quickly decided on the personnel. Finally, the Grand Commander of the Imperial Guards will accompany them. They will be fully responsible for Jin Qinhuang's safety. Someone lit a candle for Lu Chengdi. Were you sending people to monitor him, or to help him unconditionally? The matter was urgent and couldn't be delayed for too long. Otherwise, who knew what kind of incident would happen? Therefore, the preparation time was only 3 days. On the way back to Li Hongyuan's Fu, Jing Wan was also dealing with some matters. The 4 people, Ci, Gur, and Fu, all asked her to appoint a marriage. Jing Wan wasn't surprised. As people who were close to the King of Hell, it wasn't strange for them to have the courage to ask for true love. After she knew that these people weren't Li Hongyuan's people, she also expected this moment. But 4 people together? One by one, it would give her some buffer time. Why don't we wait for Wang Ye to come back and ask him? If it was an ordinary servant girl, she could decide. But in the end, it was Li Hongyuan's personal servant girl. No matter what, she had to ask him personally. There was no other meaning. It was purely out of respect, that's all. Wang Fei, for such a small matter, just nod your head. Wang Ye won't have any objections to your decision. That was also true. That person, regarding these matters, didn't care at all. Since it's like this, I won't force it. Call them over for me to take a look. Although the time you've served me is short, it's also fate. Not to say that I'm helping you, but at least I should knock some sense into them so that they'll treat you better in the future. Many thanks, Wang Fei. Jing Wan chuckled. There's no need for thanks. In the end, they are Wang Ye's and my people. Although I don't have much ability, at least I have to take good care of the people around me. It's just that you're still young and the marriage isn't urgent. You can take it slowly. You should also hand it over to Mei Lan Zhuju and the others. There are many things they don't understand, so you should teach them more. Wang Fei, in fact, there's nothing to hand over. After this month, it's almost done. Moreover, the marriage can't be delayed. Qing Shi's face was red, her hand intentionally or unintentionally placed on her lower abdomen. This kind of thing was really shameful. But he was very happy. Qing Shi was gradually taking care of him. Jing Wan was a little stunned. Should she say that this was indeed the Jin Wangye style, quite valiant? Qing Shi looked calm and steady, but the result was that she was pregnant before marriage. Even if it was spread out, it probably wouldn't be a big deal. But in the end, it would affect her reputation. Was it really good? Does Wang Ye know about your matters? Jingwan thought about it. She felt that if a certain someone didn't know, they probably wouldn't have the guts. But as a girl, how could they do this kind of thing for no reason? One was enough, but looking at it, it seemed that all four of them. It couldn't be that a certain someone told them to find it, right? Who would have thought that Jingwan accidentally revealed the truth? I know. Alright, I won't ask anymore. Since it's like this, you can prepare for the marriage with peace of mind. If there's anything, I'll let them find you. That's not right. When I didn't know, you quietly handed over the matters in your hands. You've been thinking about getting married for a long time? Jingwan ridiculed. Wang Fei, please forgive us. It's a joyous occasion, what crime? Jingwan sent them away and began to settle accounts with her own maidservants. It turned out that all of them were hiding it from them. In fact, Jingwan's people didn't think of seizing power or anything at the beginning. It was only because they weren't strong enough that they worked hard to learn. Who would have thought that the result would be like this after a month? At this point, what else could be said? Li Hongyuan returned to the prince's residence. Jingwan arrived shortly after. Wan, Imperial Father has ordered me to be an Imperial envoy. I've ordered people to pack up and go to Zhongnan. The matter was too sudden. Jingwan was startled, but then she nodded. All right. Does Wang Ye have any special things that you need to bring? I'll have people prepare them so that we don't miss anything. Special things that I need to bring? Besides you, what else? Li Hongyuan used his hand to intimately rub her cheek. I'm going to? Jingwan was pleasantly surprised. Didn't I already tell you that I have something to do in the next 2 days? Did you forget so quickly? Or do you actually not like it? I like it, of course I like it. https://www.bicken.com/11/11807/6653464. HTML. Please click here to report an error. Registration is not required. We will deal with it as soon as possible. After reporting, please wait patiently and refresh the page. Please remember the domain name of this book: www.bicken.com. Bicken. Com Mobile Edition Reading Website. Bicken.com. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.